Hello, YouTube. That was like, you know how, have you ever done like a musical like gift to somebody? You know how like they have the people come out and sing?
No.
You're
talking about like barbershop quartets?
Yeah, like hello, hello, hello.
Definitely never bought one.
You know,
You should do that to like your wife someday, or just have
the only
people
time
just
I've seen
randomly
those
show
have been in
up
Family
and-
Guy. You know what I'm talking about? Have you seen those episodes?
Yeah.
They never mind. I'm not
That's
gonna repeat it.
I've never done that. No.
No.
I used to send one to my wife at her work. You know, that'd be loving. Just like 5 people just trying to get in the work. Hello, let us in.
I couldn't handle that kind of pressure, that kind of thought. People singing at me.
It's a very old timey.
Yeah.
Let's
time
bring it
gone
back.
by.
just send me a gif of someone singing, saying I'm singing this to you, and I would got the same concept.
In the comments, if you've ever done that, or you are one, what if that's your job? Like you just surprise people.
Oh, you know who does that? When they serve papers when you're getting sued.
Yeah.
What?
They're kind of
I
like.
bet there's a pipeline to
Hey,
get to
yeah.
do that. Like you're.
Do you watch those
that
videos?
Person.
What?
Do you ever watch videos of people doing that?
No.
So on my TikTok feed, for a solid 2 weeks, I had a guy who was his job was summoning. So he would go up to people's houses, and his job was to track them, get video of them in person to prove that they were present,
That they got the papers.
and then get them the papers. And then eventually, after like the 5th try, if they don't take the papers or they refuse them, then like the warrant goes out or whatever, like whatever it is. So he'll sit in front of people's houses, and so the TikTok is basically him just sitting there like, there they are. Open the door. Hey, sir, can I talk to you? And they just slam the door, and
Yeah.
he starts knocking. Sir, I'm here on behalf of this county to summon you and give you serve you some papers. Can you please answer the door? Go away, sir. And then eventually he'll walk back to the car. He's like, we'll try again tomorrow. And
You
then-
know, I've never thought about that, but maybe that's why some older people or people who are really grumpy and do not want to ever talk to someone they don't know is
They
like
got
maybe they got summoned.
they might
yeah.
gotten served before and they got a
Yeah.
scar and they're like,
they
I
get
just
paid
don't even
per
talk.
person they serve. That's how they get paid. They don't get paid. They have to serve the person in order to get paid.
You know, I think that's one of my favorite types of scenes in a movie when someone gets served because you never see it coming and then it happens. You're like, dang! Like I've seen a couple. Burn After Reading has a scene like that where the
Yeah.
guy gets served. So.
That I like watching those on TikTok and the people getting their car repoed.
Oh,
And
those
the
are
top
great.
comments are because people like jump on the vehicle and like get inside, like it's all lifted up, or they get in and get their keys and they start like they frick up their vehicle because they're trying to back up and it tears the axle.
Well, it's
up.
not their vehicle anymore.
Yeah. But the all the comments are would have been easier to pay for it. Like would have been
It's-
easier to pay
it's
for
the
the
truth.
vehicle.
Some of the
But-
people, they go extreme. Like, I'll see them box a car in with 3 other cars. I'm like, how did they even get 3 other cars if they're going to lose this car? Like, but they're going all
Yeah, they
that
always
way.
go all the way.
Yeah.
Back behind.
But then a
houses and
tow
stuff.
driver, like, I can get back there. And he just,
Yeah.
they do every
They
time. They
always
find a way to get back there. And so,
So one of the comments, if you ever got served,
had a car towed,
had a car towed, or if you're the server, maybe tell us if you were a barbershop quartet. There has to be a pipeline. Like somebody comes up, like you're good for this. You know what I heard recently? If you ever heard this, the FBI, like sometimes will recruit just people out in public, like the way they act or the way they carry themselves or like how they appear in public. They'll just like, hey, would you like to join the FBI? And like that's how they recruit some. Have you heard that before?
No, I never heard that.
I'm not
Look it
allowed
up
to
and
talk
see
about
if
it.
I'm crazy. Oh, okay.
Really? That's
But
interesting.
they like will see people and how they act or how the way they look. They don't look too like suspicious or whatever. And they're like, you look like someone that would like just, and they'll give them a card like, hey, call us like if you're interested in this job.
That's
and
wild.
some of them have been recruited from that.
That's wild.
Have you guys, side tangent before we even get started, have you guys ever been randomly offered a job from someone you never met before?
One time, yeah.
Okay, I would love to know that because I got offered a job one time from a guy I never met before, and it was insane.
I got offered a job. I was working like selling. I wasn't even selling anything. I was like running one of those stands like a Costco where you're like trying to get people to sign up to have someone come to your house and talk about gutters or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I was just standing there and I was like 20 and this guy comes up, starts picking my brain. He's like, hey man, I got a job. You'll make a lot more money than this. And I was like, well, okay. I mean, I'm living in this city I'm not from and I don't make a lot of money. Like, well, what is it? And it was unbelievable money. It was $40 an hour and I was 20 and this is in 2012.
Oh, whoa.
Now, but here's what it was. 24-hour on call. When somebody, trigger warning, jumps in front of a train, when they shoot themselves, whatever,
Oh.
The police, I didn't know this. They will come get the body if there's a body to get, and they'll take it for evidence or the morgue or whatever.
Yeah.
They do not clean anything up. They don't clean anything.
Oh, it was like a cleanup.
So
like
his crew, 24/7, they clean up body parts, all the stuff that the police leave.
I've seen people on TikTok that do that,
Yeah.
and all the comments are like, those people, even as much as they're paid, they need more.
Yep, no, and it was $40 an hour
Yeah.
starting, 24-hour on call. He's like, you may come do a job, and I may not call you for a couple days, and then you may work for 2 days straight. He's like, but you will get paid cash at the end of every job. And I was like, but I was working at the church at the time.
Hey,
and,
but then back in your head, you're like, I can make so
but I
much
was
money.
looking it up.
That
and-
is,
and-
they found the right person.
Yeah.
that can tie.
And-
It had to be those jobs like
Yeah.
you're working these stands or whatever.
yeah,
It's
you're
like,
just like burning your time away.
Yeah.
And I was intrigued, but I had a prior commitment with it was my second job I was doing.
Could you imagine if you did that? Like
I
stuff you
did
would've
consider
saw?
though, like, could I handle that?
Yeah, that'd be
And I was just
mentally
a person of
like-
strong faith, so I was like, I think I could, but it definitely, what I saw a lot of, I did research, people said you end up developing a very dark sense of humor because
yeah.
you
I feel
are
like
just
firefighters and
walking
police
into
officers,
blood and guts and stuff.
You're
so
just
like
used to it.
you just learn how to laugh about it.
Yeah.
And that's what people
Yeah.
say is like, you learn how to laugh about it, you just never get over the smells, is what I
Yeah.
heard. And I was like, oh God. Like maybe
Yeah.
but you lose part of your humanity, I think, not because you're a bad person, but because it's grueling. That
yeah,
type of
I
work.
can't imagine ever being offered that job. But 2 years ago, I recently got offered a job, which I'll tell you that story. But 2 years ago, we were doing a thing where we're auctioning off items for a fundraiser, and we bring in an auctioneer. So a legit auctioneer from an auction house comes in. He does this, and dude, I ain't gonna lie, if he wasn't there, we wouldn't be making the money we were making. He had to leave. His time was up. We had like 2 more items we had to auction off. So what do? Jacob can do it. So they walk up and they bring me up there, and I just, all right, here we go. And I just start going. And after the auction was over, everyone's still standing there. I'm saying goodbye. The auctioneer comes walking in the middle of everyone, says, "What's your name?" And I was like, Jacob. And he's like, "You would make a killing at this job." Hands me his card, says, "You need to call me tomorrow," and leaves. And I sat there with this card, and I was like, did I just get offered a job?
To be an auctioneer?
That's what I said, to be an auctioneer.
You'd be a great auctioneer.
So I was just like, what? So I walk off like, do I call this guy? I don't know if I should call this guy. So I did call him. It was not going to be anything that was worthwhile. I would have to go to like get some classes. Apparently, you have to go to classes to become an auctioneer. And then after you go to classes to get certified, you have to get hired. So basically, they hire him like you get like basically you work part of a group or you advertise for yourself, and then they bring you in. And he said a lot of people nowadays, it's all cars. A lot of it's cars.
You know, we talk about AIs. That is the easiest job to automate. It is simply taking somebody's. eBay automated this in 2001,
and they still.
And
you
like,
can't get the. Let me hear a one. Can I get a one? How about 100? That's 100. Can I get a 200? 200. 200.
I think there is something like, because even at eBay auctions, people will, there's pride that gets mixed in it.
Yeah.
And you might bid a little bit more than than you wish you would have, because some guy is fighting you.
It's that
back and
FOMO.
forth.
Yeah.
So it is kind of like an ego thing. I think that is elevated even more in person.
It is.
So that is even more like heightened.
It can sell more if you have a professional person.
Yeah.
It's also different than eBay because it's like you're getting to see the item right in front of you too. So it's like it's all that added pressure and all that.
The second one, which is really quick, I actually was at Target with my girlfriend, and we were shopping, grabbing stuff. So this was around Christmas time. And we were grabbing, I think, like a little tree cover. It goes underneath the tree.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked it up, and I look around, and my girlfriend's trapped in a conversation with a couple. And I was like, well, that's not like her, because she's not the type of person to just walk up to a random person. So I was like, something happened. So I walk over there, and we start talking. And it's
Join my MLM.
When we start talking, and they're just shooting the shoot, bro. We're just talking. Like, it's nothing crazy. Me and this guy, we ended up exchanging phone numbers because we had a lot in common about games. And he's like, I'd love to hang out with you. I was like, that's awesome, dude. Like, maybe this is how you make friends now.
You just met some
Target.
swingers.
Yeah, like I was, like,
Yeah,
I was confused. So I walked. I was like, "Did you start that conversation?" Like, she said no. She asked me if I cooked, and I was like, "Okay, like that's right on." So
selling some pots and pans.
Kid you not, 2 weeks ago, I get a phone call. I didn't save this person's number. I just got the number, and I just did what I always do. I leave in my text thread, and if he'd ever text me, I'll talk to him.
Yeah.
No, I'm just a terrible person. It is what it is.
You didn't follow up with the Target guy. It's okay.
Well, it was him. Hey man, what are you doing right now? I kid you not. This is 8:30 p.m. at night. I'm like, I'm with some teenagers hanging out. We have a Super Bowl party. And he was like, oh yeah. I'm driving back from Arkansas right now. And I want to know, do you want to make some money? And I was out there, I was like, do I want to make some money? Like, what do you mean? He's like, I got an opportunity for you, and I don't want you. I think you're the perfect person for this.
That's an MLM.
And I was like, I can't talk about this. I'll tell you what. I'll call you. Be ready Tuesday, 2 p.m. I'm gonna call you. And I was like, okay. And I hung up, and I was like, what's happening? He never called me. And so
those people are so flaky. Their sales tactics are so like sneaky and conniving. I used to do networking stuff, like with other business people or whatever, and like,
yeah.
They just every trick under the sun they pull out. And one time we were for when me and my wife or fiance at the time when we were about to get married, we went to some like I don't know how I know what it was. There was like some bridal show or whatever thing, and they said like, hey, come here, like we're gonna like have some like we're basically gonna try to sell you these pots and pans or whatever, but if you don't want them, we're gonna give you a good deal on them, whatever. But if you don't want them, we'll still give you like this trip. There's like a trip, like a vacation thing, and a timeshare type thing. And I told her, I was like, I've always heard people make fun of these, and they're like, they always like the stuff that they're selling is such a ripoff. But people have got these things, like you can get these things. So we go.
Oh wow, you went.
We went because I also wanted to like psychologically see this and be a part of this because it's like, how are they going to sell this? And dude, every sales tactic under the sun they use. They use like, hey, nice shirt, man. Like, what band? Like, is that? I like that band or whatever. And like, well, where'd you go to school at? And, like, they connect with you on a human level. Like every single thing they can connect on, they'll connect with you on, and like kindness and humor and whatever. I was amazed because like I'm looking back and I'm like, this guy is like
he's
prime. Good. Like I know all these tricks, and this is incredible the way he's layering all this. Whatever. They get to the end, like they show all these pots and pans. And that was another sales tactic. They brought this garbage can. Dun, 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 dun. Here's what you have in your kitchen. And they dump all of this old, like out of this black trash bag, all these old like pots and pans, and they're all rusted and used. And they're like, and this like whatever. And guess how long they had it for? This was like 5 months. Look at these. It was like, this is usually $8,000. We're selling these for $4,000. So they were like $4,000. Actually, I'm going to say it's more. I think it was like $6,000.
That's disgusting.
For these pots and pans. So we're in there and I'm looking around and it is like other young couples or other people like, they kind of just maybe picked out of a crowd like, oh, these people look like chumps, whatever. So we're sitting there and I'm laughing, which I was like, this is so crazy. And then they're like, all right, who wants to buy or whatever? Like, come to this table, but if not, whatever. And I swear we were the only ones in that entire room of like 8 couples that said no. And when they found out, like, hey, are you going to be buying? I was like, no, we're just going to get the thing. And the guy that was so nice to us and this older guy was like, hey, blah, blah, like, are you going to be doing this? And I was like, no, I think we're just getting the tickets. He's like, you're just getting the tickets? I was like, yeah. And he turned about face and walked away like, and like pointed over there.
You were dead to him.
We were dead. Like all the kindness like got sucked out of his body and it just left.
Yeah.
So crazy. And I was like, and his it was a family thing. So it was like his wife and his son, who was like in his 20s, they were signing people up and we were watching people drop like $6,000.
Hey, that dude.
And they were making bank. And I was watching this, was like, and I was like wanted to go up and it's like, you're like the Disney villain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you are you work
evil.
as a like I wanted to grab you. So my wife got the ticket, like we got the thing for like a 3-day paid thing, because that was what, like, are we gonna do this on a honeymoon? Like it's a paid thing that would really help us financially at the time. We find out like once we find out the name of the place and all this other stuff, like she looks online and this place has terrible reviews. It was supposed to be like this star review and it was like a 2-star place. Mm-hmm. Terrible reviews. Mm-hmm. People were like, I got screwed because it's timeshare or whatever. And my wife is usually like is not confrontational, doesn't like to do all that stuff. And she called and was like, hey, or they might have called her the next day or something about like, hey, we're setting this up, whatever. She's like, hey, you lied and you're like a terrible person. Like, it was like, I don't know why you do this as a job, because like, and like let her have it, like, and the person didn't know what to say. And it was like, you're just a terrible person. So there are evil people and creatures out there that just walk the earth and try to take your money.
They're just gambling that
They'll
they'll come out ahead because whatever
But
these tickets.
Those people always end up in a Netflix documentary in jail. You know what I mean? It's like
one or the other.
Yeah, those people always end up screwed.
You should not be able, in good conscience, to pressure just random young couples into dropping $4,000 on freaking pots and pans.
You say that, but for them, you're telling me you have 8 people walking up, like they don't care. You know how much money they just made?
Yeah, I know.
They're making so much money. But that's what I'm saying. Like that type of nature to you, it ends in blood, sweat, blood. Like at the end, like people are just like getting mad or just. Those type of people always get in little shenanigans.
What do
illegal
you do?
things? Those people are going to end up getting in illegal things. Like
imagine those people that buy that stuff a month later and they're sitting on the couch and they're like, "Yeah, I want to, change out this flooring, or I want to do like these things for our house," and they're looking at the $4,000 pots and pans sitting on their stove, like. That is like enough to destroy a marriage. I think
for the
if
first
you realize
year,
you dropped almost $5,000 on kitchenware.
I bought Fiberware Walmart box set back in 2016. I still use them today.
No, you can't. You should have got the 6,000. Whenever like something messes up with, because one of our pots and stuff, pans or whatever, just started like scraping up like the paint or whatever. And our joke has been running since we got married is we should have got the $6,000 pots.
These people,
we should have got the $6,000.
These people never play video games because they don't understand how to efficiently use your resources.
Use your resources
to min max. And make sure you don't spend like they're dropping 90 points in luck.
Yeah.
Like what are you doing? Like put some in strength and depth.
I could not believe
make your character different.
I thought it was going to be like half the room would catch the trick, but when everyone except us, it was like, am I a genius or am I filled in a room of idiots? I don't know.
Maybe you were the idiot.
Yeah, maybe.
You're kind of crazy because even if you're very strong-willed, it's just like a complete waste of a night. But you were gonna get the thing. I would never do that. Not because I wouldn't be able to walk away.
I don't trust it.
Just doesn't like conflict. It would have been a whole waste of my time.
It is so much pressure. And sales pressure that I think that is what they bank on. And dude, 7 out of 8 people, I think, probably came in with the same thinking that we did. But I swear their sales tactics and the pressure.
You have to be completely
and you're
convicted.
stuck in the room with them for about 45 minutes to an hour. It's almost like a police interrogation when they let you sit for like 20 minutes and they come in late or something. Like they kind of did that. And like you're sitting there for 45 minutes to an hour, and so you have all these things stacked up against you. It's like, well, I don't want to waste my time. I did this or blah, blah, this. And I know the person, they were nice to me and connected with me and whatever.
Yeah.
All that stuff stacked up. I was like kind of shocked. I was just like, dang. So but we still joke. We always go, what happened to those people? People paid $6,000 for those pots. But speaking about, you're talking about min-maxing and trying to manage your money better through video games. We're a video game podcast. We're a movies podcast. We're a TV show podcast.
What does that make us if we're all three?
Pop culture.
But it's not pop culture.
We're like the Nelk Boys.
It's the who?
The Nelk Boys.
I don't know who
Full
they
Sun
are.
podcast or whatever.
No idea. No.
It all runs.
It's one of those
H3 and all this. I don't know
we're like H3.
H2.
We're H4.
H2O. Delirious. Anyways,
can we keep on the topic of shady people? I want to talk about a show me and my wife have been watching called on Netflix, The Murdaugh Murders.
I keep seeing the splash like screen of this guy's face, and it's like his face huge, and there's like 6 of his face. And every time it pops up, I'm like, I tell Jen, like, they're screwed up for like making this pop up on my screen every time I turn on Netflix. Like, this guy looks like a creep job.
So this story and the trial literally just started, and the Netflix thing just came out. So the trial for this guy just started. It linked up like with this. It's kind of like how Last of Us and the remake and stuff, they teamed up to everything. Is
I've seen this on TikTok.
So this guy, and you probably saw it in the news. He is this kind of rich. They're like. It's a law firm. I forgot what state it is. I'm forgetting what state it is. But this little town, I want to say Pennsylvania, they are well known in the community because it's like generations, like the great-great-granddad started this law firm to the point where it's like they're the only law firm in town. So they kind of like they kind of made their own rules because they were the only one in town and they had connections with the police and connections with this. So I don't want to spoil all of this, but it's called the Murdaugh Murders, and the face I've just seen was this guy, the dad, and it's he has a wife and just the kids or whatever. The Netflix doc, because it's the Murdaugh Murders, it goes into detail. This is a fricked up family. Oh my gosh, it is so fricked up, and like the sons and stuff. All these people are just, in the nicest way, shitheads of just people, of just like the worst people, like these rich people, the way they act and the way they treat others, like just terrible. And I don't want to spoil it, but it kind of starts with these kids and then it gets to like the other family members have been involved in like murders and like killing people. Wow. And it's really fricked up. It's more fricked up than I thought. I thought that guy just kind of, because he's in the trial right now for, murdering his family and stuff. So that's what the trial is.
So this isn't one whack job Dahmer style guy went off and did something. This is
the
like
whole family's jacked up.
The whole family's jacked up.
And they're not like poor inbred,
No, they
like
are rich.
Trailer,
did you
not to say people in trailers.
No, they're,
but like, okay, this isn't like
they're in middle society.
No, they're in high class.
They're high class.
They're high class.
Oh well,
I don't
they
doubt
own
it.
this law firm thing. And
did you
rich.
see the video call of the guy when he allegedly the police showed up and it was a body cam video of him explaining what happened to the cops?
Well, one of them.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But this guy and all this stuff. So what was really funny? Well, not funny, but it like made me reflect. Because I thought this way before, like me and my wife will just sit down and eat food and like watch these murder shows. And it's like, yeah, they bashed their head in and they shot this person and they came in and stuff. And I'm like, I'm watching this as entertainment. Like this person's entire family history has changed. So this one hits even more, I think, because like we're watching like, oh yeah, this person died. And like they're showing like, here's where they were hit and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is some good steak I'm eating right now. Like, I'm watching. But then it gets to, it ends, and then like sure enough today, like I pop on and there's like they're showing clips of the trial, and I'm like, this is like linked up with like Netflix's got it out fast enough. And
they're working on it.
And I'm
middle
like,
of the trial.
this culture of like I'm watching deaths that happen to these families, and then it goes straight into the trial, like. It's just like, and this has been true since like OJ and like way before that even. But like Paul, in my lifetime, it was like OJ and this like
it's a new permutation of this same thing.
And I think like OJ sticks out because it's more recent of like it seemed like the start of it to me.
Well, and he was uber famous.
Yeah,
it's become more and more. I mean, the true crime obsession.
Yeah,
in like our culture.
Yeah,
and the South Park episode about it.
Okay, sounds good. Talk about that.
I could tell because you talk about you with your wife sitting watching. Can you talk about the South Park true crime?
I finished all of South Park. I completely watched through it. There is a episode about this topic, and the episode is called "Informative Murder Porn."
Yeah,
that's what it's called.
Yeah, I mean,
and they said the whole show is basically based on the fact that couples get turned on when they watch murder, true crime things. So it goes like seduction, stabbing, and like that's the shows are called, or maid murderers and stuff like that. They make fun of basically the extreme. Well, what it ends up turning into is the kids are trying to stop their parents from watching murder porn because the families are turning into the stories. Like they're killing their husbands, they're killing their wives, and the kids are like, I don't want my mom to die. So they're going out trying to stop this, and it culminates in this idea that says, here's how we stop them. We make it to where it's a question they can't answer using the cable company. So they say how to tame a horse in Minecraft. That's how you get the channels unlocked.
Yeah.
No one in the town knows how to tame a horse in Minecraft.
Oh, because they're all
old men. Yeah, so they end up having a kid teach them how to tame a horse in Minecraft.
They created basically adult passwords for the cable stuff.
But what ends up happening is then they get addicted to Minecraft and not murder porn anymore.
Yeah.
So it just turned into a really funny episode. And when you said that,
I mean, I felt this way with the other ones where it's like, this is fricked up what these murders are. But this one was the one I was like, when it went straight into, I knew this trial was happening, and then I saw it. Like,
we love and we crave that drama, like that feel.
Well,
it is just unreal that like people can do this, and you're like the human psyche. Because I get that, like I'm not drawn to murderers, hopefully, but I'm drawn, and like I like people that are just kind of like, what are you thinking? Like that's how you think or whatever. I'm like not. I don't even get disgusted by these people or
it's like
scared.
a fascination.
It's a fascination because like my mind doesn't think that way.
No.
So this is on the other end, the other spectrum, which is like scary. Like, did people know or like some of the Murdaugh murders? I will say, I'll just say what happens at the beginning. One of the sons is like an alcoholic. They're like 17 and driving a boat, his father's boat or whatever. Gets uber drunk, like crazy for like anybody, but like all these 17-year-olds are running around and they get on this boat and whatever. They have an accident and one of the people in the boat dies because he's so drunk. But then like they use their connections that like he kind of gets out of it. Like he doesn't whatever.
Yeah, he didn't have to answer for it.
Yeah. And when I'm watching it, I'm telling Chelsea, I'm going, that is people like, because the other people got flung out of the boat, got injuries and stuff too, and it's like you learned way too late that guy's not your friend. You know what I mean? Why were you? And there was some stuff where they were kind of falling out with that guy anyways, with this Murdaugh kid. But at the same time, it's like you hung out with this guy at any capacity. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you spent more than 10 minutes and didn't walk out. Yeah. So it's like that's the kind of thing that sucks too. It's like you got to know your friends. Like you got to know like something.
Yeah, I'll say on all those type shows, the ones that lean heavier into like grisly, like bloody murder, and where they did it. Yeah, I don't like that stuff. Like there was an episode of Unexplained Mysteries or Unexplained Mysteries. What was it called?
Unexplained Mysteries.
Unexplained Mysteries, whatever. Unsolved Mysteries.
There we go.
Unexplainable.
There's one where like it became very clear who did the murders, and it was disgusting and the stuff they were doing. And I told my wife, I was like, I don't really like this. This is really gross. The ones that get us is the courtroom. You don't really know if you believe him or not, like making a murderer. And like there's one called The Staircase. It's like, I don't even know like how to really, and they take you through the trial. Yeah. I like that stuff more because you're like, it's a human psyche kind of thing of like, did this person do this? What do I think about that? How was the evidence shown? But the more it leans into like the Dahmer, so Dahmer
was actually my first time I checked out. Yeah, because I've always watched.
That's crazy. I watched the whole thing.
Yeah, I always liked those, but that one the trailer, because usually those trailers hook you in. That trailer was like, this is gross. This looks like
what he did was gross, dude.
Yeah, and I knew this. I already knew what he had done. I was like,
I watched that and I was like, this is disgusting. And I was like, why'd I watch this?
That's what I've heard from you and multiple people.
Hey, like, it's atrocious.
Online podcasts.
Is it true they tried to redeem him like a little bit at the end?
At the end they did.
That is insane to me.
I would say
that is insane.
It was wild to me because like you walk away and you're like, man, I kind of feel bad for him a little, and you're like, what's wrong with me? And you know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's kind of like the weird part about it because like
I get that a smidge with all of these because I would say 10 out of 10 times they have something in their childhood that gets fricked up or whatever.
Oh, well, they did a great job. I will say
like that
show,
part. It's like they were bullied or this was fricked up.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with that.
No. It's just
that's the only smidge I give them.
You can't. They did a good job honoring the victims in the sense of like, hey, these things happened. These people were real. Like, understand that. They even talked about that in the last like 10 minutes of the show on the final episode.
Got it right at the end.
Yeah, right at the end.
It's like they're learning. Like, yes,
but
as well.
It's the fact that you're like the kids. He sees his upbringing, and you're like, his parents are jacked up. His dad did a terrible job helping him cope with this by teaching him about how to dissect animals. Like, it was just not a good idea, and that right then and then you're like, you almost get a peek into their childhood, and some of it might be like theatrically like hyped up, or it might be spot on. I don't know. I have no clue what it could be, but it's something. Yeah. But yeah, I don't enjoy those or anything like that. I like the comedy. That's why I watch South Park.
Can I shout out one of these shows? It wasn't a real, or it is real. It's based on a true story, but it wasn't like a documentary. But Jess and I watched The Watcher.
Have you guys seen my wife watched that.
I've heard about it.
So kind of like a neighbor guy.
Yeah, The Watcher. It was 7 episodes, I think, and we watched it this last week. It's on Netflix, and basically the premise is this couple and their 2 kids are moving out of New York City. She's an artist and he's like some business guy, and they want to go out to the suburbs. So they buy this mansion in this small town in New Jersey, Westfield, New Jersey, and it's their dream house. And they really are kind of making a financial leap buying it in the first place. And he's trying to get this promotion and all this stuff. Well, they get the house, and then they get into it, they're moving in the first day, and they get this letter, and it's like, dear, blah blah blah. It doesn't say who it's from. I've been watching over your house for decades, blah blah blah, and it's kind of creepy and it's kind of weird, but it's not threatening. It's just like, that's weird. Like, basically, I am the watcher. I watch your home, and it's like, okay. And then like, there's weird neighbors. There's all this weird stuff happening. Like, there's a giant, like, kind of like, he's like a giant kid, but he's like old, and he's in their dumbwaiter at night. Like, they open their dumbwaiter and he's in it, and the dad like punches him and throws him out. But like, all these neighbors are being weird and controlling about what they do with the house and stuff. And it's this mystery, like, who is this watcher? They start writing more like satanic things, like, what if your kids go in the basement? We're gonna drain their blood. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. They're getting these really, really weird, fricked up messages. So it's a show that is based on a true story. I did look it up. This was a real thing that happened. They were getting letters. But in real life, they never found the watcher, and the family ended up just selling the house. And then, the next people that live there never got anything. So, but in the show, they're setting it up. It might be these people. It might be those people. It might be this. It might be that. But in the end, they didn't have an answer, and it falls apart in the last couple episodes because it becomes clear, like, all of these things, like, they set up things and they do things that make no sense. Yeah. And then they try to throw it all. It's like, no one ever knew. Yeah. And it's like, but you made every single person the most suspicious person on earth with no explanation of why. No reason why. Yeah. And it wound up being kind of a big fart, but we had fun watching it. And it was a good 6 out of 10 goofy show. Yeah. It didn't overstay its welcome, but they definitely did not stick the landing with the mystery of it. But that was The Watcher.
It seems like let's just keep teeing off on TV shows we've been watching. I did finish South Park, like I said. I'm actually on season 26 that came out. So yeah, I flew through that thing, dude. It was easy.
You know what's funny is, like, I don't feel like South Park should end, but when I hear about The Simpsons, it's like, that's still going. Like, why?
Yeah, it's
but
still
I don't
going.
feel. I feel like South Park is growing with the times and change. Like, the humor has changed. It's still
they've changed the way they even set up their seasons.
Yeah. The whole
used to be more
random,
not serialized, episodic. It used to be more episodic. Every episode was its own thing, and then they made a change 6-7 years ago, and instead of 20 episode seasons that are like episodic,
10, 11.
They do 10, 11 that are serialized, and they tell one story.
They started messing with that. What's funny, because I watched a documentary, basically, because I was watching, I was like, man, why am I fascinated? I watched a documentary, and they basically explained, like, we got sick of the old format. We're like, man, we could really sell something here. Let's start just making fun of things, but like over the course of a couple episodes. Mm-hmm. And it started with Imagination Lands, and then Cartoon Wars, and they just grew on it and grew on it. They're like, let's just find something to make fun of for our entire season. Yeah. And then they started doing all that. So it was just kind of like, it was cool to watch it. So like this season, it was hilarious because they came out the gate swinging at Kanye, which was awesome. First episode, they went after Kanye, which was great. It was hysterical. And this next one, the next episode, they went after the royal prince and princess, because
all I saw her in that was all I saw was a headline that said she watched the episode and she cried, and then it's next to the picture of her, and it's her as like a puppet, like this. It's like the goofiest looking thing of her. Like,
they made fun of that because they came out and said that there was a big thing where how they said, like, we don't enjoy being in the spotlight, we just want our own like peace and quiet. Yeah. Well, they just basically made fun of them, saying like, you want your privacy, but you do outrageous things that call people's attention to you.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody look at me.
Yeah.
Why the hell are you looking at me?
Like, exactly.
That is the most annoying thing on earth.
So they did a great job in the episode, and they just nailed it to a T, and it was really cool. So it's been good. Season 26 has been great. I am including this on TV because it is that time of year that I'm watching WWE again, because WrestleMania is weeks away.
And I put in our group chat, I was like, we got to get together, because we once got together.
Yeah, we should do that again.
And that was so fun because it was like, I didn't know the people's name, but I was like, I like this guy. This
guy
is funny.
To me, it's like when you come to our Super Bowl parties. That was like that for me. Of like, I don't know what's going on, but this is crazy.
Yeah, I'm down. The WrestleMania has turned into a giant event now. Okay. That spans over the course of 3 days.
Have
it used
you
to be
seen
one day? Yeah, I know, right?
And you've probably already seen this. But I love on TikTok, it started because I've been watching them all. It just shows me a lot of these. It shows me a lot of wrestling clips, but it shows me a lot of Stone Cold's podcast.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's a great podcast.
Stone Cold has a podcast where he invites old wrestlers on, and they'll watch like their famous clips. And he's like, so what was going on here? And like, that you got really hurt here, like famous moments, like what was going through your head when like there was a part with the Undertaker got this like firework or this like
he got burned by pyro.
He got burned by pyro, and he talked about like, yeah, this was going on, and like
he didn't break character either.
And Stone Cold's a really good podcaster because he just like lets him talk forever, and like he'll just explain the thing, and he knows like, oh, what was going on, and that hurt you, or that was watch what you do right here, and he's like,
if you ever want a good clip to watch,
I don't even like that makes me into a more wrestling fan because I was like, this is really cool.
If you go back and rewatch that podcast where he's talking to Mark Calloway, and he explains you like, explain to me the Hell in the Cell match between you and Mankind, Mick Foley, and he said I wasn't even supposed to wrestle that match. I broke my ankle like 2 weeks ago. Like before that, and he's like, but Vince said we had to do the match, so we did the match. So like, this dude's climbing a giant steel cage with a broken ankle.
I think I've seen that one.
You know, and he's explaining everything. Like, I threw Mick off the table, and then I was like, how do I get down from here? And then they start lifting the cage, and I'm just standing there, and I know the entire time I'm the mean, menacing Undertaker, but I'm like, I just killed a man. Like that's all I'm thinking about. And then I look over.
When he fell through the cage and then hit a table.
Well,
that wasn't supposed to happen.
He threw him off so he threw him off the cell.
Yeah.
And then everyone came out because they like, holy crap, this dude's dead. They lift the cell. They start dragging him to the back on the stretcher. Then Mick Foley comes to and he says, I got a mat. And he gets off the stretcher and just runs back up and starts climbing the cage. This is not planned.
Yeah.
The match is over.
Yeah.
So he starts climbing the cage. So Undertaker sees him and is like, I guess we're still going. So he walks up and they start punching. And he said, my favorite moment was you could hear him slightly say, chokeslam me. And Undertaker said, right now? He said, yes. And so he grabs him and he throws him through the cage because the cage just gave out. And they didn't think it would happen.
The cage gave out.
Do they ever talk about on that, like, the inner politics of who's supposed to win what and, like, disagreements?
Hogan's a big... Yes, Hogan will be the one.
Because wasn't there a guy who was supposed to lose and he didn't?
Yeah, that was Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah,
that was the big thing because it was the Montreal screw job.
Yeah,
when Bret Hart he signed with WCW. He was the current WWE champion. He went to Vince and said, "Hey, this is my last match. I'm in Montreal. I'm not dropping the belt. I'm beating Shawn Michaels like we had it planned, and I'm going to relinquish the title the next night. And I'm going to WCW." And Vince said, I like that plan. And then he got in a very small closet. They said a very small closet with the ref, Jim Ross, and Shawn. He said, we're taking the belt off of him in Montreal. And Shawn to this day swears I knew nothing about it. The ref quit his job immediately afterwards. Vince got punched in the mouth.
Oh my gosh.
So it's I'm telling you, watching those stories and watching the wrestlers tell their accounts from them is some of the most entertaining things in the world.
Vince McMahon was running a pure chaos.
Pure
chaos show.
In the 80s they sucked, but man, in the 90s they really figured it out.
I feel like that's a golden era. When we were growing up.
Yeah,
I didn't know The Rock's dad was a wrestler.
He was. Yep.
I realized that this week.
His daughter's trying to become a wrestler.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the whole generation of it. So I watched Elimination Chamber, basically tie it all together, which is like the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania. And it was a great one. They got a really good feud going on between Roman Reigns, who he's held on the belt for over 900 days, taking on Sami Zayn. It was really good. Normally that pay-per-view sucks because the concept's kind of died out. But since Triple H has taken over the creative design, since Vince got forced out of the company, it's been so much better. So I'm excited for WrestleMania this year. I think it's going to be a good one. It's like they got a lot of really.
Can you explain what happened? He sold the company to some Saudi Arabia.
No, that hasn't. That's a rumor. So that's a current rumor that's floating around.
I thought that actually happened.
So Vince got in some trouble, sexual assault trouble.
I did see that.
He got removed.
You need to.
So he stepped down. The funny part is he left on it. He walked on a Raw. His last appearance on TV, he came on a Raw to announce John Cena, and that was it. He walked and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, John Cena," and then he walked away. That was his last appearance. He wanted to do that on purpose,
How long ago
though.
was that?
6 months ago.
Oh, okay.
It was recent. So then he spent some time away, but then what he ended up doing was he used his board powers. He had some creative control and some stocks to seize control of the company again. He forced his daughter out. His daughter was removed.
Yes, I heard about.
So she resigned, but basically forced her out. He rehired his old buddy, and they put together a package to sell it to Saudi.
Okay.
So now all the wrestlers are freaking out because like, if we get sold to Saudi Arabia, like the women's wrestling is probably gonna be gone.
Yeah.
They'll get rid of that. They'll have a ton of money, but it'll all be in Saudi Arabia. It'll no longer be like USA based. But Vince is like,
It's a downer.
I can make billions. Like this is it. Like I can cash out forever.
But if the talent doesn't want to go to Saudi, then it's all for naught.
No, it's not. It's not worth anything. Saudi Arabia, they paid. I think it was like $7 million to Undertaker to wrestle one match, because they said Undertaker retired, and they said, we don't want your show if you don't give us Taker, and so they said, we're going to find a way to give you Taker, and they gave him Taker.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Is Undertaker officially retired?
Yeah, he's done. There's a documentary. I highly recommend.
Kept coming back.
Yeah, that was the running joke. Yeah. But watch the documentary, The Last Ride. If there's anything I recommend, if you love like the idea of the Undertaker, watch The Last Ride, because it's him completely out of character explaining his last like 6 years in the business.
That's cool.
And his decision making and why he did stuff.
This now than
watch that. Watch The Last Ride. That's beauty.
Well, let's see here. And do you have any other TV shows? I had a couple more.
Oh, there was other TV. The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Still going
I
on.
did watch The Last of Us.
You're 2 episodes in. You said
I've watched
earlier?
2 of them.
So 2. You haven't seen the newest one, and I'm all the way caught up. So it's like a timeline right here of this whole show.
Yes.
But I'm still really freaking enjoying this. I love that they have found a format for, I think, video games to be put into. Like, this is the first time like seeing a video game thing that I've loved, like in a different medium. I think they've knocked it out of the park. They've changed some things, I think, for the better. Some stuff I'm not. It's not like a huge like, oh my gosh,
yeah, it's not a big deal, but it's just
nothing.
Like
there was some in this most recent episodes like, this might have been like this was better in the game, or vice versa. But a lot of it has been vice versa. Like, I like that they adopted this for the TV show, because if they would have done X that they did in the game, it would have sucked in the TV show. But I really, especially in this last episode, there was like certain lines that Ellie says that sounds just like her in the game.
Yeah,
like one for one. Like, and I don't even think that's totally on purpose. I think it's just like the way that character.
They did a
is
good
and
job.
stuff,
Yeah,
like,
the character. I think the selection of talent to act out Ellie, Joel, everyone around them. They did a good job casting this show.
Yeah, it's very well casted.
They did a phenomenal. That's the only thing I can sit there and like. If they messed up the entire part, I would still sit here and say they picked the right people.
Yeah, definitely right cast.
Because I've only watched 2. I really, really love everything that covers what the game covered, like when they're in Boston, the whole opening sequence when they're driving through the town and it's all going to hell. All of that, the stuff that the game it overlaps with the game is like 1-to-1 or even better. I think you said that at times. Like, and like even when they're leaving the quarantine zone and they're encountering the clickers for the first time, I mean, it felt like a game scenario. The way they shot the action,
which is perfect.
I was laughing. Justin, why are you laughing? I was like, this is exactly like the game. Like the way they're crawling around, they're kind of splitting up for a second, they're coming back together, and the clickers are so aggressive. And I was kind of curious because at first I was like, I don't know how this thing spreads because this is different than what I remember.
Yeah, they
and I think I get it now. It's those wires that are coming out of the mouth. And I'm still learning.
Yeah, you're still learning.
I don't think they fully revealed, but I did like how they went to Jakarta and they showed like that scientist lady really encountering it for the first time and being like, the only way to solve this is bombs, basically.
Yeah.
And it's probably too late anyway.
Yeah, in place of that's what's been really interesting. And at the end of every episode, I like sit down and give my wife her own debrief.
Yeah.
Because I've played this game, 3 times and I beat it. And on the 3rd time, I just recently beat the remake for PS5.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff's fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
And I give her a debrief of like, they changed that. That's not how they did in the game. This is different. He said this line. They tweaked that.
That's what I've been doing.
So I'm like giving some behind the scenes, and it has been cool to see. And that's why I think this is done really well, and why I think it's also very hard to adapt video games to another medium. Is in a video game, some of these things it's like, hey, we need to go get this item. We need to go do this thing. And they don't do that in this show. Like, they start to tweak some of that because it's like, that would be boring to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yep. Like, some of this stuff you would get sick of. But if you're interacting with it, that's fun. And you need to have that in a video game.
Yeah.
But in a TV show, you can't. What do you feel that with? And in this show, like you get to see what that doctor,
Yep.
they start to fill in that stuff where they take that out. They start to put really cool stuff in instead and expand on things. And I'm in love with the show, and I think they just as a hardcore day one since this game came out day one, hardcore fan, I'm very pleased with it. I think they really did it right.
Neil Druckmann also, he directed that second episode.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be involved and helping write it and executive producing. He directed that second episode, and that was great. Like I actually think that
he has a talent.
He does for sure. And I want to see more of, if you're gonna adapt some of these properties, bring key people that help make them, if they're around and want to do it. I mean, if it's something that's 40 years old, sometimes that's hard because they're like totally disconnected from But like, I mean, if they're gonna do a Death Stranding show, like, because that's the rumor that they've already signed the deal or whatever, like I want Kojima to direct an episode. Like I mean, you need these key people to be involved.
And watching, they have like some behind the scenes they do every episode or whatever. And they always talk like in the show or in the game they did this, and we talked about that with them. Like, why did you do it this way? We're gonna actually tweak this, okay? And like get their blessing and get like thoughts and feelings on stuff. There is a hyper like we don't want to frick this up to the point where you saw it because you've seen the first two episodes. Episode 1 is, I think, was really smart to go 1-to-1 on to show that we respect this. Yeah. Like this is us bending the knee and saying like this needs to be very close.
1 and 2 were that way in a lot of ways. I'm sure it changes a little bit because I'm already picking up, there's a couple characters. Is it Bill and Frank? Is that their names?
Yeah.
There's a couple characters that they've mentioned like, oh, I saw this in your book or whatever. Like I think Joel knows them potentially. In the game, he didn't know them, did he?
Yes, he knew him.
Did he know him? Okay, I couldn't remember.
Because in the game, Bill, he goes there.
He was the middleman.
I need you to help me get a car battery or to get a truck because you owe me. Yeah. And we never know what that is, but he's like
they're fleshing that out more.
Yes, and you'll get to see that next episode. But no, I think it's great, and it's just it's a hyper respect for it, and then where they can do better, they do better. So you're talking about how it spreads and all that stuff. There is some tweaking with some of that stuff with the clickers and all that stuff where it's like, oh, this is actually better.
Yeah, interesting.
It is more terrifying for TV and all this other stuff. So
interesting.
Last of Us.
Okay.
Double thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that. And then 2 other shows I watched. I had mentioned I was watching a show called The Good Place.
Yeah.
I finished that, and that show has one of the most impacting finales I've seen on a show in a long time. Because this is the show where they wake up, they are dead, they realize they're in the good place, and then they're like, oh, actually, some of us aren't really supposed to be here. Well, there's all these reveals throughout the show. Well, actually, you're here, and they go to the bad place, they go to all these other places. In the end, though, they do find themselves, quote unquote, in the real good place. And when they get there, I've always thought a lot about like eternity and the idea of what is it like to be in paradise forever and all this stuff. And this show is very comedic the whole way. The last couple episodes, they get a little more serious because, it's kind of coming to an end. The last episode, because this is like a 30-minute, 22-minute episode kind of comedy show. The last episode of the show is an hour. And you sit with these characters in the good place. Sorry, my ear just started ringing. You sit with them in this eternity place, and it progresses through eternity with them and shows what that does to people, good, bad, all these things. And it was crazy. I told my wife, I was like, they are fricked up for how serious they made this last episode. I cried. Like it was extremely impacting. But it was the right way to end that show. It was really cool. They kept some funny stuff, but I've never seen that before where like a comedy show, like, they'll always get a little sappy on the last episode. Sure. This was like the genre shifted, and these characters you've gotten to know in this comedic sense are now confronting like their own non-mortality and like where that goes and the decisions people make. And it was shocking. It makes you wonder, like, if I was sitting and I knew I was never going to die and I was in this space, like, how would I react after cycle after cycle after cycle after cycle? And it was crazy. It was really, really good. So
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, The Good Place is a really good show. It's super funny too.
You might like Barry, because Barry does an excellent job of like like drama, and you care about these characters and serious moments, but then it's laugh out loud, like extremely. It's a comedy.
Is that the one with the hitman's an actor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
old. Yeah.
I think you might like that if you're into that
heard,
stuff. If
You've
you like
yeah,
it
I've
blending
heard
in
good
with
stuff.
that.
I should check that out. Barry, I'll look into that. The last show I watched was That 90s Show, which I wasn't gonna watch it because I like that 70s show, and I was like, I don't know. But I don't know. It was on there, and I was like, you know what? There's 10 of these episodes. I'm gonna watch one of them, and I ended up liking it. It was good. It was fun. I mean, it was what the parents, Red and Kitty, they come back and they are perfect. Like they are the same exact way you remember, and they brought back a lot of the producers from the original show. So the first episode's kind of awkward because they're setting up all these new kids, and it's like, where's this going? But they find their footing.
It's somebody's kid from the 70s show?
So, yeah, what it is, did you ever watch that 70s show?
I know about Ashton Kutcher and all that stuff.
Yeah, but you never watched it.
I just
So
saw
the main
clips.
character's name's Eric, and his neighbor was Donna.
Yeah.
And his parents, like all the kids hung out at his parents' house. It's their kid, basically.
Oh,
It's their daughter.
It's like Boruto.
Yeah, it's Baruto, yeah. No, it is.
No, it's not.
But what I like is, like, you watched that 70s show, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's hanging out, and then the first couple episodes she's hanging out with this boy, and like he's funny, and then he comes in, and the grandpa comes in, and he's like, "What's your name?" And he's like, "I don't remember his name. It was like whatever, Johnny Kelso," and he's like, "Get out of the house," because he's Michael Kelso's son, and he's dating Eric's daughter, and it's
He's like, no,
yeah,
no.
and like so they have all these connections that call back. But what I will say is, they keep it about the new kids, but they use those grandparents as the connecting thread. And it starts a little awkward, but it really was good, and I liked it.
Well, that's good.
It was fun.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I never watched 70 shows, so this wasn't on my radar, but
yeah,
it's cool.
Okay.
It was. I was going to be cynical about it, but I was like, "Why be cynical? Let's check it out," and it was fun. So and that's a hard thing to do, is bring back a sitcom like that.
Yeah.
Media we've consumed. Might as well tell you about a movie I watched, since we're already talking stuff we've watched.
What was the Elimination Chamber? Somebody wrote on.
I talked about that. That was the WWE pay-per-view.
Oh, for some reason I thought I forgot that was the name of it. There's something else. There's like another show. I don't know if it's like a Korean-based show. Have you heard about this? Where like,
I've heard of The Circle.
All these people they put together.
I watched The Circle.
Yeah, that show's crazy.
It's like
the first season.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, that is crazy.
Dude, that's crazy.
It's a reality TV show, and they have to live together, but it's not like trashy reality television where they're like fighting with one another. They show up and you don't even know who's going to be there, and some people are like, "Oh, I know you. You're like a YouTuber, and I respect all the stuff you do." And they like. But it's kind of like Squid Game in real life, like a Squid Game reality show.
Oh.
And they have to do all these like challenges. But I heard it's like really heartfelt, and people like are like nice to one another, and they're like trying to like team up and trying to whatever. But it's like kind of like Squid Game, and they're eliminating people. But
interesting.
Nothing beats. Gosh, dude.
But another thing
this has been a podcast.
So here's
of tangents.
what I heard was interesting about it was you don't know who like you're up against sometimes too. So, for example, one of the first challenges, they have to like hang on the bar and see who can hang on the bar the most. So it's like 150 people, and they just start dropping like flies because it's like hard to do that. But the last two is like a Marine and like some other like fitness trainer or some other like I forgot what it was, like a Marine and like maybe like a mountain climber or something. And like they're the last two, and they go like in the interviews. I've heard like another podcast talk about this. They were saying like. Yeah, I in their interviews, they're saying, I actually had to turn my face away from this guy because if I saw that he wasn't struggling, that would psych me out. Like, I don't know if I could do this.
What is this called?
I don't know. I thought it was an Elimination Chamber, but it's something else.
Could you imagine you're doing it,
and
it's you and one other guy, and it's the free solo guy? I would just drop.
But
I'd give up.
But it's stuff like that. So I thought that's what Elimination Chamber was. But
oh wow,
well,
thing.
No, yeah, it was WWE. WWE related though. I watched a movie. It's basically the rise and fall of WCW. It was it's an hour and a half movie, basically describing like the formation of WCW, because WCW was like formed kind of technically before WWE. Because of the NWA and how
all these blur together in my mind. WCW, WWE.
See that's how people think, but like, well, they don't realize you had like the AWA and the Kansas Association of Wrestling and the Missouri Line Wrestling. So like everything back in the day, like in the 70s and the 60s, that was like it was territorial based. So you didn't have national wrestling because that wasn't a thing.
Oh, okay.
So the first national wrestling circuit was technically the NWA because he had the NWA World Title, which was WCW, Ted Turner.
You said NWA. I thought you were talking about the rappers.
No, not the rappers. The National Wrestling Association.
Okay.
But what ended up happening was like Ted Turner bought out, and he's like, I don't like this name. He changed it to WCW, World Championship Wrestling, and he called it wrestling. And that's how like national television, because like Vince felt pressure because he was like, well, now Ted Turner has a territory that's nationally promoted, and I have a territory that's only promoted in Connecticut. So that's when he started buying other territories and acquiring talent because he wanted to expand globally, and he didn't have the resources to do so. So basically, it was a story of how WCW went to the top and how they completely just fell apart.
So Vince McMahon's kind of like the Phil Spencer of wrestling.
Yes, he acquired stuff and then didn't use them. That's 100% what he did. You were honestly.
Phil saw what he did.
Very
and said,
accurate.
We can do the same.
That is very accurate.
Is the movie good?
It was great. It's a great documentary. I love wrestling documentaries. It's because we all know it's fake, but the stuff that's happening behind the scenes, business wise, that's real.
Yeah, and that's why like a lot of things are fake.
Yeah,
I mean, like
it's entertainment.
Fake. If you really want to boil down to it, plays are fake.
Yeah,
everything's fake. Yeah.
So I mean, like I don't care about the sports side of it. What I care about is like the business decisions. When you get stories, you're like, we need to put a show together tonight. Like literally, one of the parts of the show is like, I remember Eric Bischoff walked in. We had a show planned, and this was the payoff. And he walked in and said, "Nope, we're not doing that tonight. Raw did something crazy, and we got to beat them." And he completely rewrote the show in 30 minutes. So these guys who have came in having a script ready to go were told, "You've been cut. You've been cut. We're doing this with you. Change this. Bring a man out in a zombie suit." That's what he said, and that was the show. Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff that's like, how do you do that on live TV? Like, how can you make that switch that quickly? But back then, they were just running.
Well, somebody was making decisions too.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. Just make decisions. Don't have time to wonder.
And that's just how it is. So that was a good documentary. I'm always into those. So that was it.
Did you watch any movies?
Pinocchio, Guillermo del Toro. You might have seen him in Death Stranding, holding a baby. He also makes movies. But they did a claymation Pinocchio.
Oh, claymation.
Yeah, and it's on Netflix. I love claymation when I get to see it because like I cannot believe someone sat here because they show like there was like a behind the scenes thing after that came up, like it's a little 10-minute little thing showing how they did certain stuff. But yeah, they have to sit there and move an arm, move an arm, move an arm, move a leg, move a head. Dude, the time involved, but it's incredible, and I think CG's mixed in with it now and stuff. But like all the motion, to the point where my wife's like, "That's all CG, right? Like that cannot be that. There's no way that looks that good."
No, claymation's amazing.
Yeah, so it was very very funny at times, and it's just they take their own spin on Pinocchio. I enjoyed it.
I need to watch Pinocchio. Maybe I'll watch this one. Maybe the old one. I remember visual things about Pinocchio. Like I remember his nose. I remember the old guy.
Yeah.
I remember there's like an island that scared me. I don't remember anything about the narrative underpinning of that story at all. Yeah. I could not tell you a single scene or thing that actually happens in those movies.
Yeah. I only remember Pinocchio from what Family Guy did.
Yeah.
The old man's
in front of Pinocchio. Like,
did you take a cookie out of the jar? He's like, "No, father." He's like, "You could lie and get away with it." Gosh, I hate a doll. Oh, my goodness.
Pinocchio. Okay. Is this one worth watching?
I think so. I think it's really short. It gets its point across. It's a little bit darker of a story of Pinocchio.
I guess that with Guillermo del Toro involved.
Yeah, makes sense.
Cool. Maybe I'll look at it. All right, I watched a movie.
No.
I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp.
You've watched more Marvel than I have.
Oh, let me say one more thing. There's Nazis in this Pinocchio. Go ahead.
You're gonna have to elaborate there.
That's all.
Okay.
Right on. Ant-Man.
I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. It was fun. I mean, like, I don't understand what's wrong. Like, what
Marvel peaked. That's what's wrong.
It's the same. It's been the same.
I know it's been the same, but it's just
it's always been fun.
And then
there were a couple movies that were like amazing, Infinity War, and then it's back to being really fun.
Can I give you the example? The best example I give you. You know the game Among Us?
Yeah.
It peaked. It's still fun, but it peaked.
That's a single game.
Okay,
It's not a
so
series of games.
Marvel as an entity has peaked.
It's
still
course,
fun.
Of course, the end of the previous
Saga.
saga is a higher high
Exactly.
than the first part of the new saga.
But I think people
I don't understand what people are
again,
talking about.
this is where like you have to like when they look at this saying like I don't want the payoff anymore. Like they're not as invested as they were. It's old news.
Yeah, I mean they keep making money and keep making them.
Yeah, I mean they're going to do what they're going to. And I'll watch it.
My feeling on this is everybody, and I understand we're on a podcast right now, and this is what we do, but everybody wants to just be a critic all the time.
Yeah,
it's like these movies are just fun. Like I
Yeah.
don't like. What are we really talking about? Ant-Man in this movie goes into the quantum realm, and it's like they go down, and it's basically like a Star Wars universe inside of there, and they freaking just like like fight like an emperor guy. Like it's just fun. It's just goofy and fun and crazy visuals.
Yeah.
And
All I've seen, because I have
just-
not watched the movie, so I don't really have an opinion on any of this Marvel stuff except like I just don't watch them.
Yeah.
But I had a friend send in another group chat I'm in the picture of Cran. Is that his name?
His name's
Krang?
Murdaugh.
Murdaugh. Krang. I'm thinking of the
Kang.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Krang.
Yeah.
So Murdaugh.
Yeah.
And it's just a thing with it looks like a giant man baby, and the faces on there it looks like it's Photoshop.
Have you ever seen him in the comic?
And he posted that in our group chat, and he didn't say anything. And I didn't say anything for like a day or two, and then I saw it on TikTok, that in motion, and I saw people talking about this movie, and I wrote in there, I was like, I thought this was your face, Matt. Like, I thought you literally went onto like a face app and put your face in this for some reason to be funny, and then I found out that's in the movie, and I was like, I didn't know that's in the movie. But no, I haven't seen it. It just was making me laugh, and then people were comparing it to Spy Kids. There was like literally 1-for-1 in these costumes.
Oh yeah, there are. Yeah.
All I've also seen is people didn't like this movie, but again, I have not seen it,
This
so
movie,
I can't say.
This
but, like,
movie turned into Attack of the Clones at the end. Like it's almost like remember when they're fighting all those bug people and like the clones come in.
Yeah.
This Emperor Kang, dude, he's got all these stormtrooper kind of guys, and they're fighting all these rebels. It literally turned into an Attack of the Clones at the end. I was laughing.
So you liked it?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I would say this wasn't Marvel's best movie in terms of like themes,
pushing
and
a narrative,
and like even just like character development. All that was fine. It was an Ant-Man movie. You know what I mean? But like it was fun. It was goofy. They literally had an army of ants come in at the end, and like it was fun. You know, like it was just like a fun movie. It was not bad by any means. And that's what I'm saying more than anything.
Yeah.
Whether it was the last Doctor Strange movie, the last Thor movie, I've just seen a
Which
lot of people.
ones don't you like in the Marvel? Which ones? What's
A
your
lot of
least
the
favorite?
early ones I thought really
Yeah,
sucked.
the
The original
Thors.
The original Thors I didn't
were
like.
bad. I like the Iron Man. Iron Man 3 was bad.
One's good, but 2 and 3 were fine.
Yeah.
I thought 3 was bad.
Yeah.
I thought that it started getting better. I didn't like Doctor Strange. I
Civil
didn't like
War
Guardians
was probably
2.
when it started. I liked Guardians of the Galaxy 1 was probably
that
when
was
like it was like, oh, this is
a
getting
really
good.
good movie. Yeah.
But Civil War for me was when I was like, I'm in. Like you got me.
Yeah, there's plenty I don't like, but I would say Last Phase, which I didn't watch all the shows. I checked out of a lot of the shows. I didn't watch Miss Marvel and all this stuff.
Yeah, me neither.
I watched a couple of the shows and I liked them, but to me, the movies are a consistent level of quality. I thought Black Widow wasn't very good. That was like the last one I can remember. I didn't think was even like if I'd give it 3 out of 5, like I'd say it's
worth the money.
It's decent. Yeah, it was a fun popcorn movie. This is in that bucket. It was a fun popcorn movie. Like but people I think overinflate. Like they've got these rose-colored glasses about some of these earlier movies, I think. And then they're saying those were the best thing ever made, and these are horrible. And I'm like, they're not that different.
I went back and watched.
They are not that different. Like
I went
that's
back and
where
watched
I'm at on
the
it.
original 3 Iron Men, and I sat there. I was like, Iron Man 1, good job.
It was a good movie.
Iron Man 2, nah.
Yeah.
Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3 is horrible.
Terrible movie.
Terrible movie.
The only part that was good about was
everybody kind of says that about.
Yeah, it just wasn't like the only thing that was good about it was like, yeah, this dude has PTSD. Like that's it. But like,
it was an interesting idea.
Yeah, but like the villain sucked.
We said that.
Like
the only good thing is this guy has PTSD. That's the only.
But like, but it makes sense because it's coming off right off the Avengers movie.
Then.
But
they've built up enough of a connected world at this point that like, here's what I like about what they're doing and why I like it a lot. All the earlier stuff, everything was so vanilla. I'm this new hero and this is my struggle from since I've been a kid, and this is my dad and my issues with him, and now I've got these powers, and now these movies now, because all these people are established, it's just like, what's the weirdest, craziest thing we could do with Ant-Man today? Okay, let's throw him in Star Wars basically, and let's have this crazy floating head that like got chopped off in the first movie, but it fell in the quantum realm and somebody put a machine around it, and now it's this guy named Darren. He's chasing, and it was Scott's rival in the first movie. That's that head. Yeah, his head got chopped off and thrown in the quantum realm, and they like thought it was a god, and they like put metal around it, and so his name's Darren, and like he's just like he's comedic relief, like, and it's like, to me, it's like, that's fun because we're not establishing, like, a lot of those early movies were really self-serious. They're not self-serious anymore. And I like that. Like, it's just fun goofiness and surprises. So, but, to each their own. I mean, I'm not going to be on the arguing side that Ant-Man Quantumania is like this fine piece of cinema. But I'm turning my eyebrows up a little bit at some of the people that want to act like all these other movies were the best thing ever made, and then these new ones are trash. I'm like, it's the same. I
understand. I don't agree with it, but I understand what they're coming through. They're just being snobby. That's just what it is. Yeah. So
they need to watch other things.
Yeah. Honestly,
I didn't watch Wakanda Forever. I didn't watch that.
I haven't seen that either.
Like seeing it. I never watched Black Panther.
I will probably go back and watch them all again when it's about the time for the new Spider-Man.
I will never go through and watch all of these. That's never
No, I won't go through and watch like all the old ones, but I'll probably like watch the 2 Avengers again and then start up on the new saga.
Not the TV shows. Oh, I got you. Yeah.
I'm done. I'm watching them now leisurely whenever I feel like I need something to put on in the background. Yeah. I'm never going to sit down and dedicate time to this again.
I still think it's so insane how much movies they have that interconnect and tell one large. I think it's crazy.
It's a good job. Like,
I still think it's crazy.
It makes money. That's all I can say. Yeah. So it's crazy to think though that we're a games podcast too, because man, we have
not been talking about.
We're media boys.
So Ant-Man, you said, went into a different realm. I did as well. PSVR2.
Yeah, PSVR2. Nice.
PSVR2 came out, and I am the only human within 500 miles.
I like that you got one. Like,
good for you.
I know people. I don't want one. Don't let the haters get you. Not that you ever would.
I never let haters.
I shouldn't say this to you because you don't.
They bounce off of me. I loved the PSVR 1. I've talked about it at length on this podcast, whatever. Loved all the games I played on, all the experiences I had on it. So when they announced PSVR 2 coming out, I knew I was day one, baby. Even through all of the muck and mire of the news, Sony had to cut down the stock. They had to cut down the amount they're shipping out. You can only pre-order on PlayStation, but not Best Buy and GameStop. So it's like all the stuff, it's kind of like all these barriers. So I want to get that out of the way, is all these barriers.
He had to fight a lot of things.
To even get it, it's like, okay, well, the economy sucks right now. And this thing is more money than the PS5 console to connect it to. So the people that said F that, and then also you only had to get it through PlayStation Direct and like sign up. Now it's like free pre-order. You can just do it. But I had to sign up and they had to email me and then pre-order through them. So I think if they would have had people through Best Buy and GameStop, they probably would have done better. But I think they are just trying to test the waters, how much they can ship out. All that being said, got it hooked up. Every complaint that I had with the PSVR 1, which I think across the board, as much as I love the PSVR 1 and the experiences I had, the resolution, even from day one, left something to be desired. Like once you start to like pick up objects and look at them, it's like, why am I blurred? Like, why am I seeing a blurred thing and it's this close to me? That kind of stuff is like, like once you're playing enough of PSVR, that's one thing that holds on. Like, I wish we could have had more resolution.
Yeah.
Part 2 of my probably number 2 of my complaints was the controllers, which were just PS3 controllers,
which kudos to them for figuring that out.
Yeah, recycled to go with that. Actually, I want to put what I just said as number 2 is the resolution, and this is number 3 is the controllers. Number freaking 1 is the cables. Because once I had those cables hooked up and the way I had to hook up with my TV and the HDMI and that box and how I had my streaming set up, whatever, once I was in, I locked the door. I didn't care who needed me. I had to just play because it was like I'm in this thing for a while. But we are down to one USB. I know you've made fun of me because you're an Oculus boy. You get
I don't need a cable.
I don't need a cable at all. But I like having the cable. No, I'm just kidding. But I will say, yeah, just having that one cable and plugging in. Oh my gosh, like I'm able just to play freely. I don't think about it. It's just I'm not tripping over 30 things in my way and pulling stuff out. But how was the games? How was whatever? I got a couple games. I got Horizon. I played the Call of the Mountain. That was like their big launch title. That was the big one.
Yeah, I watched reviews for that.
Like you got to get that. I got that. I got Gran Turismo 7 because that went on sale.
Yep.
If you've heard me on the podcast before, I was vehemently against Gran Turismo 7 because the microtransactions, all the crap they fricked up with that game. But went down to $40, picked that up.
VR support, sold it.
It got when I heard VR support, I was like, yeah, and it's like for every course, like all the cars you can like look in. And
Zach's sitting there buying cars, microtransaction based.
I was like, yeah,
I want to drive this car today.
I'm not even a car guy, and I was like, I'm gonna get that. So
he's gonna be driving a Tesla and Gran Turismo.
Got that. 7. Got Job Simulator had a free update. So I was able to play that again, and I played through like the office job thing again.
You're still playing that game,
and it's funny because like I've been playing this since 2016 or 2017 when the VR came out, but it's like it works a lot better, and I'm able to like.
It's the Doom original.
No,
Doom
it's not. Not close.
It with the PSVR, you can set so because there's no like camera involved now, and you just have the cable
inside out tracking.
It sets up a play area, and it is very like good at like. I'm using the controller, and you look down and you see your play area, and you can like press a button and expand it out like almost an AR, or it is AR because you're doing a path.
Yeah.
And I'm like making it bigger in real time, like I'm expanding.
That's cool.
And it's nice. So intuitive, and it works great. With Job Simulator, I was over here in this area. You guys can't see this, but it's a pretty like open area.
Yeah.
And I moved the table all the way, did all the stuff, and it said. Job Simulator kept popping up. Yeah, you need bigger. You need 6 by 7 feet. Like, you needed a ginormous amount of space.
Oh my gosh.
So I had to come over in here, like where I'm pointing at is much more open down here in this basement.
Gosh.
I had to leave my PS5, and the cable was long enough. I came over here with it.
That's insane.
And I played right in this open area.
That
was the only area it was able to play in. So if you want to play Job Simulator, dude, like move maybe to a new house if you don't have enough space.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, maybe put your house up for sale. But very fun. It was just cool to like lean down. It's like full room. Like I was walking around in this space, like sitting down and stuff or leaning down. But that, and then they had a Star Wars game. They had a Star Wars, and that came out for Oculus already or whatever.
Was it a game or an experience?
It was a game. It was a game. Like you're shooting. I thought it was going to be an experience too. Yeah. And I get in, and they're like, "Get your gun out." I'm like, I look down, and there's guns on me, and I'm like grabbing at guns.
Yeah.
And like the one thing I've had to get used to, and I had family over for like a birthday party thing that we had, and it was really funny to watch them struggle the same way. There's the R3 button and the L3, which is usually just pressing the analog stick. They've made that a button, like a big rectangle button on the grip of the controller.
Oh, you're not used to that.
You have when you pick up a gun, you press that because you're gripping.
It's a gripping.
But on the PSVR 1,
you
just pressed a button and it was like glued to your hand and you like shoot your gun. This you have to hold. You have to hold the gun, which makes sense.
Actually do this.
Yeah, you have to hold it the whole time, which makes sense because you're gripping a gun and then you're shooting with the trigger, which it is more intuitive. But it's like when I was letting other people play in my family or whatever, they were dropping guns left and right, like shooting, and the gun would just.
It takes time. It takes time
and stuff, but. That was cool. I'm like looking down the sight and shooting my gun. I'm jetpacking up. I'm shooting and stuff. And I was like, this feels awesome. The resolution's great. But Call of the Mountain is like the showcase. I'm looking out and the draw distance is incredible. I'm climbing. When you get into battles, like with the dinosaurs or whatever, you like press the analog stick to like strafe away. Like they'll be shooting balls at you or try and like swipe at you. And you're kind of in like this arena area. So it like changes from when you're climbing and stuff. But it's very intuitive. It's very fun. I'm like pulling back arrows and shooting at stuff, and I'm climbing, and it just is it's really cool. But that's the showcase game. And then Gran Turismo. had me audibly reacting. Gran Turismo 7 is the freaking like showcase for this game, or for the VR, I think, because
racing game.
when you and I played a racing game, I played Drive Club. There was a demo for it with PSVR1, but because of the resolution, all this stuff, now the resolution is up, and I'm not at like all these wires, and the controllers are better. Well, actually, you could only use the DualShock with this game or a driving wheel. So what I did, they give you an option with the dual sense controller. I mean, you can just use gyro. So I was using it as a steering wheel. So I was like holding it up like this, and that game, it boots up, and you're going into a race. And I have the DualSense, and I'm coming up, like I'm flying, and all these cars are next to me and stuff, and I'm audibly going, oh my god, because it's like your brain, it feels like you're really there. It's kind of freaking with you a little bit. It's like, oh, like you're getting that feeling in your stomach a little bit, but like you feel like you're just like barely nicking a car, like on the side. Ooh, like I'm trying not to hit it. You don't want to get in a wreck. Like, ooh, gosh.
Yeah.
But the feeling of like the like you're looking around and you see the steering wheel, and there's a so I drive a Mazda. There's a Mazda car, and it has the same volume stuff. Everything. I thought I was in my car first. I was like, oh, like all this stuff makes sense.
Wow.
Oh, and I noticed I was in a Mazda at that time, and like,
wow,
there's the volume knobs. The handles are the exact same. Everything's 1-to-1. Then, what is very shocking? So that was really cool. I was racing a lot because you do every race. So I was doing the career just with VR on, like going through the game. So it's a very long game and stuff. You can just race that way. But the coolest thing is they have a VR showcase, and you can select that, and then it lets you choose like, oh, do you want to be in a garage or off the side of the racetrack, or do you want to be in this cafe in the woods?
Oh my god!
And you can choose your different cars that you own and put them there, and then it will let you, like in VR, get close to them and look at the details and stuff, and like press a button to be in the interior, and you can look at all the interiors. I spent like 10 minutes in that, like and one, like my jaw dropped because it was like a little like Kia car or something, or I don't know what it was. But I leaned down, like it let me like crouch down, and I got like my head close to the headlight. And in the headlight, they had gone to such extreme detail that like the metal part that's in there that bounces off the light or whatever, that has like these mechanically engineered like things where they, what's the word for it? Like carve into it or whatever, like the detail. I could see that, and I could see it on the new headset in hyper detail, like HD.
Nice.
Right? And I was like, I was staring at that and like looking at it. And I was like, I can't wait to show my dad this. Like somebody that's even more into cars, it's like that detail is on that car, and like you can see the intricate like stuff on the tires and the rear rail. You can see all the parts and screws and nuts and stuff that's in there.
So somebody shopping for a car, this is a great way to test them all out.
You can go look at it in VR.
But again, I'm just
that'd be awesome.
All the issues I had, it's kind of like when Elden Ring, I played that. It's like they patched all the things I had problems with the other Souls games. PSVR2 is amazing. Cool. It's incredible. I hope they open it up to like Best Buy and GameStop and all that stuff, and the price will drop eventually. I recommend it. I'm a hyper person into VR, and I'm really just pleased. I'm really, really pleased.
That's cool.
But we did do a hangout, me and Pierce. You can kind of watch me play it. If you want to check that out, see what we thought. But
cool.
That's awesome.
PSVR2.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I'm glad you're able to experience that. I'm glad you're able to go through that. I want to look at it. I just don't want to pay for it.
I understand.
I think that's where I'm always gonna be hesitant. Plus, I don't like the idea. I was telling Travis earlier, the idea of having a VR headset for a dedicated console that's going to be upgraded and not be upgraded with it, like the replayability isn't there. So I just have a hard time being able to say like I'm jumping into this. This is something I'm doing. Yeah. So
I'm just a sucker for the library games that they put out for the PSVR1 and the support, and I just plug it in and it just works, and I have this awesome library, and I love the controllers now. The controllers feel great. They of course redesign them, like they don't have the PS Move controllers anymore, but yeah, really happy with it.
Games got Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh, my wife has been playing. This has been really funny. My wife she'll watch me play games,
but this is the one she's playing,
and she'll play like the Yoshi's Island with me or some of those games. But Hogwarts, she was like, "Help me get this," because she was like, "Where do I even start?" Whatever, and I was like, "Oh, I'll get it." And we got a digital download of Hogwarts Legacy.
Nice.
But what was funny has been watching my wife discover video games. Like get fully into the experience because this is a big game and this
Giant
is a
game.
whatever. And she was like, okay, help me get hooked up. So she was like, go ahead and buy it, whatever. And she's like, how much is it? And in her head, she's got to be thinking, you know, $30 or $25. And I was like, it is $70. And she went, $70.
The same thing happened to my wife because she asked me to buy it,
like,
and
what do I do?
She asked me to buy it, and I bought it PlayStation Digital, and it was trying to make me pay $80 because it automatically selects the deluxe, and I was like, this is not happening. So I changed it, but then she's like, I just saw a charge come through for 74. What? So that was the game. She's like, the game was $70.
It's funny, people not in like, because we talk about on the podcast every week gaming news in real time, but people not in the gaming world go like, "What is this?" You know what I mean? Like, this is crazy. $70 for games now. But go ahead.
No. I'm same thing. I mean, I was playing it, and Maya came over, and she loves Harry Potter, and she's like, "What are you playing?" And I was like, "Here, you play it." But she's sitting there like, "What?" It's like it was just funny. I picked it up, man. I was loving it. I got the pre-order. I was 16 hours in, and I'm like going through all like the little details, all the side quests. Game looks great. It's beautiful. It does the whole Harry Potter. Like if you're a nut job for Harry Potter, wandering around the castle in itself is just an absolute joy for the next 2 hours you can do it for. So I get on one day, and I hover over my character, and I said, "Wait a minute. I want to play this in my living room. I don't want to play on my on my computer." So I do my Steam Link. I don't care about the fidelity. It doesn't bug me. I just want to sit on my couch. I hook it up. I sit down, and I go over there, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta change the setting." So I hit triangle because triangle is the setting button. I didn't realize this, but if you're over your character, triangle is the delete the character button too. Deleted my character.
There's no like confirm.
Deleted my character.
So
that's a thing. Yeah, go ahead. You can say. I know what you're gonna say.
Did you back out and go to
Steam Cloud?
Steam Cloud.
Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
Couldn't get a backup.
Couldn't get a backup.
Dude.
And I had it enabled. Couldn't get a backup.
That sucks. There should be a confirm option. Did you have to hold down
So
the button?
I did it, but it was pre-update 1, and everyone was. If you go look online, a lot of people were having the same issues.
Oh, because they didn't have a confirm.
Yeah.
Man, because like when something goes like that, they ask you, "Are you sure?" And you have to press.
Normally, yes. So I remember sitting there, and I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I have not picked the game up since.
That is such a killer
That
thing
sucks.
when that happens. Like you lose your save or
It's
lose
happened to me
whatever.
twice, yeah.
That happened to me
That I can
one
think
time in my
of.
life with my little cousin. We were on vacation. I had that freaking Mario versus whatever Donkey Kong on GBA, and I was pretty far into it. And he was like, "Can I see your Game Boy?" And I was like, "You're gonna mess up my save. You're gonna mess up whatever." And he's like, "No, I won't. Whatever." And I give it to him like, "Just go here." And I like did it for him and gave him. And I don't know how if he turned it off or went back on. And he got to my save and deleted my save, and I was so mad at him. Like he was this little kid, so it's like
That's brutal.
shut up
It
to
just-
me. But
it-
like at the same time, it's like it just sucks the
It
energy out
sucks.
of you.
And
I
it's
had
like-
Knights of Republic 2. I had at the very end of the game had a glitch I couldn't get through. Like one quest from the end
Yeah.
lost. My game was effectively lost because I could not get out of the glitch. And then I had Dark Souls 3. I never finished Dark
Oh.
Souls 3 because I switched computers and I was at the door to the last boss and I switched computers and that game, Steam screwed me. It doesn't support Steam Cloud. And I just took it for granted because every other game always has it. You can uninstall, reinstall, and it's on shame on me. It's the one time Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 on Steam do not have. So if you ever install it, play, and then uninstall, your save's
You're
gone.
done. You're done.
Man.
Yeah,
And
it was.
never
I
got
do
to
remember
beat
that
Dark
because I
Souls
had to
3.
like back up my save for Souls 1 if I wanted it because I didn't know like.
It's
put it in the cloud,
depressing,
but-
like because like you boot it up. So I did these things. I looked on Vortex for some mods. There were people who had save editors, but they're not quite fleshed out, and I was just like,
man. that
so I
just
started playing it,
zaps your
and I'm
energy.
just playing. I'm like, this isn't fun. I'm not having fun anymore, and I was having so much
Oh, it
fun.
sucks.
So I have not picked it back up since. It's nothing against the game. It's just the crappiest of experiences that it just can't do anything. So I'm waiting until a mod comes out that like lets me kind of just somehow magically create my old experience.
Or if it's that, the only other thing you can do in a game like that is if there's enough build diversity, just go a completely different direction.
Yeah,
But
but
it
even
may
then,
not-
it's not like
gonna
that.
be-
It's
so
not.
It's with my wife. I get her started up. I load the save. I try to like get all that stuff ready, and then I will like she'll play and I'll just be on my phone, or I'll like watch her and trying to help her through puzzles or help her through stuff. But it has been funny because when we're playing like those side scrolling like Yoshi's, she doesn't have to worry about the camera. But there's been stuff on TikTok, and then my wife too. She'll be running down the stairs. And like we're just looking at the wall, and she's going down the stairs like this. And we're just laughing about it. She was just like, I just can't like this. She's gotten better.
The concept's hard.
But that concept for a ton of the population, it's like I have to move this camera. That sucks. Like,
yeah. It's,
but for us, it's like I grabbed the controller from her and I started
no-brainer.
sprinting with her character. She's like, "How did you run? How are you doing it?" This has just been ingrained in me for so many years. And she's like, "How are you doing this?"
So connected to that, my wife had her wisdom teeth out a couple weeks ago, and we bought Hogwarts, but that was downstairs on the PlayStation. I moved the Xbox upstairs because when you get that done, you're kind of out of it for a couple days. Well, she started playing a game on Xbox Game Pass because I played it, I saw it, and I was like, I think this is her kind of game because she likes. Like she'll watch videos like where they clean like a carpet out, like where they're like spraying
Power Wash Simulator.
Yeah.
So I saw this game and I was like, I feel like this would be her kind of game. And then because she also likes jobs, like she likes having tasks, she likes playing those mobile games like you put burgers down and stuff. So I was like, I think this is her kind of game. And I downloaded Power Wash Simulator.
Yep.
I did a little mini level of it, and what it is it's different things. Like sometimes it'll be like a motorcycle or a van, and you're in a little shop that's just covered in dirt and gunk. Sometimes it's a whole house or like a backyard or a park or a firehouse. There's all these different levels. But I did one. I was like, and they basically, you get this gun and you get all these different attachments and you spray and you clean it and it gives you a percentage. And when you get close, it gives you a checklist of the things that are left. And when you hover over things, it tells you what part you're on. So I showed it to her. She stayed up the couple days before her wisdom teeth surgery. She stayed up till 4 a.m. playing this game. Like unbelievably obsessed with it. She played it every single day after her surgery. She has like 20 hours in this game, 30 hours in this game. She's playing Power Wash Simulator. But when she first started playing, it's first person. It was driving me insane because she didn't use the camera. So she would just like get the gun out and just strafe. And just walk and do this and like zigzag. And I was trying to be like, you could do this. She's like, you need to let me play. That's what she told me. And I was like, okay. But I will say she has gotten way better. And it was a great way to learn how to use the camera more. So when we play Harry Potter, it'll probably be a little bit better.
Easier.
She can aim and like find things now.
Yeah.
But yeah, you take it for granted. Like people like us, that's a skill. Like we just have that. We can use and control the camera.
Because you have to move and you're doing something else with the other finger at the same time. But yeah, she's gotten better too. And it's been cool to like watch her, and she'll get to a part and it's like, wait, without spoiling stuff. So he's like, oh, I recognize that. That's X or Y or whatever. Oh, that's interesting. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to check this. Oh, okay. And like, she's like checking things out and like, oh, that's this. And okay. But like some stuff, because this is like a prequel to all that, like long ago. But yeah, it's been fun and watching her enjoy that. But
that's fun.
Also very funny. She also told me and Travis she was like, I finally get video games. She's like, I get why you guys like are hooked on them. Yeah. She's like, I don't have time. Like, because it's even hard. Like, she has to tell me, like, tonight we have to play. Like, I really want to play Hogwarts tonight. But, like, we don't get a lot of time, or she doesn't get a lot of time. But she's like, I get why you do it. She said this to us. She said, because it makes you feel like you're doing something, but you're not doing anything. There's a video game podcast, but I totally agree.
I agree.
It makes you feel like you're doing anything, but you're not actually doing anything. You're not achieving anything.
Makes sense.
And she didn't play Dark Souls, man.
Yeah, she needs to play Dark Souls. Then she'll know what cheating
she'll
is.
know. Turn that easy mode off. You cheated the game and you cheated yourself. No, she's right about that. Yeah. And that's good. Okay, what other games we got? I have a few, but I didn't know. Did you guys have any other games?
No, I'm good. That's pretty much the only thing I want to talk about, really.
What the heck did I play? I beat and I did a stream of it. You can check out the stream we did for Season, A Letter to the Future. Very funny stream because that is the worst game to stream on planet Earth because it is so pretentious. It's so far up its own butt, but I like that. I like those walking simulators that were a little like that. A lot of those walking simulators were very pretentious, and the land changed as we did. And it just kind of has that smoody, like
smarmy,
smarmy little, like I don't know. And I like that. I'm a sucker for that. Like, there's certain things that I'm like, okay, like I just like putting those headphones on and getting in this world. And
you don't want Pierce like just talking in your ear.
But oh my
you're
gosh,
trying to
Pierce!
He tore a new one.
Between Pierce was dying laughing at the chat because the chat was like, "What the heck is this game?" Because like you have a recorder and you record sounds of like the town you're in. You take pictures, and when you do, she's like, "I remember when the town was like this. Will it ever be the same again? I need to do this, but I wonder what life is like if you were just a candle." Like, that's literally what this game is. Like, you record sound and you record this, and she comments on it, the main character. But I think you would love this. It's an enhanced walking simulator is what I would explain it as, because you're kind of doing some like detective work with this and taking pictures and whatever, but it is like a little bit more. It's like a walking simulator plus. Is what I would call it. The graphics are like jaw dropping. The style
that kind of looks cool when I was
very cool. But play it alone. Put headphones in. Turn the lights out.
How long?
Play it. 2 hours if that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's quick and easy.
$40.
It was 30. And here's the thing.
Oh,
I told everybody, it's like, the stream this week is this, and I'm like, okay, because I was busy that week, and when it got to like an hour before stream time, I was like, I need to download this so I can have it installed and whatever. And I came down here to buy it. I was like, all right, $20. I get this is $29.99. Well, I already said I was streaming it, bought it. So
I'll get that on sale.
Get that for $20 or less.
I just won't play. I'll watch it on YouTube.
But
it looks cool though. The visuals look
the visual and the music and everything that's happening with that game is really special and really cool. But it's very far up its own butt, and I like that. But don't play with other people; they'll make fun of you. That was the only thing that I played.
Okay, I got a few shorter lightning round type ones. I already covered Power Wash Simulator.
Yep.
I played quite a bit of a game on Game Pass called 2 Point Campus. I saw buzz about this for like Game of the Year stuff last year. This game rocks. You would like this game. It's not really a strategy game. I would kind of equate it to like a modern day type roller coaster tycoon type thing.
Oh, I like that stuff.
But it's you are starting a new college. You're starting a new college.
What?
And all of the kids and stuff, there's this weird undertone of like it's hyper realistic. Not hyper realistic. It's like okay, you need to hire these teachers and stuff. But then like the kids have these requests that are like, I want a clown makeup station, and like I want a toy box in the play area, like, and so like it's so goofy, but also you're really starting classes and trying to get all these people.
You're trying to get college going, dude.
College going, and you start with one
saying
class.
All this makes me kind of want to check this game out
it's
because
so fun.
I just beat Dark Cloud 1. Remember I said, I don't know if I said like, I just picked this game up on Sundays, and I got sick a couple weeks ago, and I just sat and went through 20 hours of this game. And it is in that game, you're making a town.
Yeah.
And like people say, I don't want to live next to that guy.
Yes.
And
it's that kind of stuff.
So I like that because it's a puzzle. It's a fun puzzle. It's like, how do I design this world?
That's exactly.
So I'll have to check it out.
It's not like you're managing your money real tight or anything. It's like you've got these 2 buildings in your first campus, and then they're like, oh, the kids want another VR facility. And it's like, well, where am I going to put this? I already built all these bathrooms.
Like, I need more.
Okay, these are moving over here.
Okay,
and it's very fun and arcadey.
Maybe that's Dark Cloud 3. People cry for Dark Cloud 3. Maybe that's what that is.
It's very funny.
It's
called 2 Point Campus, and I like it a lot. And
it's Game Pass?
It's on Game Pass, yeah.
I might stream that.
It's fun. It would be a great one to stream, and because Pierce also has a background in higher academia, so you guys can talk about how to lay out the campus.
We will definitely.
I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. So I've been having fun with that. It is a great, very approachable pick up and play game. Where you make a college. And
it sounds good.
Set up your campus and stuff. So, so that's a game I've been playing. I finished a game called Citizen Sleeper that was on Game Pass. I liked it. If you're in, I talked about it last time.
Yeah.
But I beat it. It was really cool. It was a nice little science fiction kind of fix for me. So I enjoyed that a lot. I don't remember. I have one other game. Was there any other games other than Was there only one other game left?
Monster Hunter Rise.
Oh, I'm playing Monster Hunter Rise. Yeah. So I never played a Monster Hunter before, and that hit Game Pass. And I tried with World.
I thought that was Sony only for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's not. It's on Xbox. But I really tried with World. I played it like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And it was so many tutorials that I felt like I was never going to get to gameplay. So I dropped it. But I heard great things about Rise. I was like, I need to try this. It is a lot of tutorials when you first start. I got through them in 30 minutes. This game is really fun, though. Extremely, extremely fun. I've done all of the level 1 missions, and they go up to level 7. So I finally have an understanding of how these games work, and I'm enjoying it. It's got a killer soundtrack, and Monster Hunter Rise is the first one that has a single-player campaign and an online campaign that are separate. And so that was what confused me about World, was it was all mixed in, and you talk to this vendor to get your friends to join your lobby, but then you talk to this vendor to sell things to other people. And I was like, this is like destiny to me. I cannot figure this out. What I like about Rise is the town. It literally, the story could not be more simple. You're just in a town and there's monsters attacking the town. And like, you're going out into these different biomes to hunt the monsters. And, but all of the town is like single player, but then there's a bar you go in, and when you go in that bar, it's like the multiplayer area. So I'm liking that a lot. Monster Hunter Rise, the combat is very animation heavy, so kind of like Dark Souls in like, not a way, it's not a lot like Dark Souls in other ways, but like if you press attack, your character's doing this big wind up and they're swinging, and you can't like guide them to face a different way mid attack. So it is like trying to pin down this monster and how it's moving, and then you do these big attacks with these big wind-ups, and it is very satisfying when you get a chain going and you've got them kind of stuck and you're hitting them a bunch of times. But it's a fun game. Monster Hunter Rise, cool game.
You know what this reminded me of when you mentioned it? I don't think I mentioned on the podcast, but I played like 30 minutes of it. Dragon's Dogma, because it was on sale for like $1.99. Playing that game in 2023, because people praise this game, like praise it so
still
much.
On my backlog to...
Oh my gosh, people praise this thing and they're like, you got to check it out. And oh my gosh, if you like Souls games, whatever. This game had me laughing out loud playing it. I was laughing the entire like first big encounter, because you're fighting this like chimera like lion thing, and you can jump on its back and like you're hitting it, but that game looks terrible. It looks like Mud, if Mud was a video game.
That's funny.
And I beat it. I beat like that first thing, and I was laughing like you're with these other members, like, we gotta fight them, and the voice actor's like, yay, or we're gonna get this guy, or whatever. And it ends. And I laughed and I uninstalled it. I was like, I'm out. I'm
moving
out.
on.
I'm out, guys. And
I'm good.
I quit and uninstalled it, and I just went. That was a perfect example of like, I don't doubt people that say that's like one of my favorite games or I really enjoyed it, like, but I feel like there is a time limit on certain experiences. Like if you don't play that game, and that came out in like 06 or something, I feel like on PS3 or 07, I don't know when it was, but
you can miss it.
You can miss it. And if like you have fond memories and how those mechanics worked then and how it felt, I think you could return to it on PC for $1.99 and be like, yeah, I'd get right back into it. But for me, that's spoiled with all these PS5 experiences and you go back to it, it's like I missed the boat.
Yeah.
I just missed the boat. And I felt that way even similarly when I was beating Resident Evil 4. It's like some of these mechanics stuff I'm getting sick of. I kind of miss some of this stuff, like to where I would have appreciated this game more in the past. But yeah, Dragon's Dogma was just dogma shit.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
kind of
Well, and that's why like a Monster Hunter series is so interesting to me, because if you look up, it's kind of Monster Hunter is kind of like Pokemon, where they kind of just keep making the same game, but they add more monsters or they add new mechanics or this or that. And it's funny, like no one says, yeah, you would start at the first Monster Hunter and work with it. No one says that. Yeah. It's just understood.
You just jump
There's
in
the current gen, and like you pick between World, which is more story based, or Rise, which is just more gameplay, right? It's kind of reminds me of Xenoblade versus Xenoblade Chronicles X. Yeah. Like that is how those two get compared, is it's like apples and oranges. They're the two most recent ones. And I'm a little bit more of a gameplay guy. I don't need like a whole freaking world and a backstory behind all this crap.
I've always been anal. I used to when I was growing up in my teen years. I used to be so anal of like, you should check out X game. It's it's coming out soon or whatever. It's the 4th one. It's like, I'll go play the other. I had to play the other ones.
I do that a lot
to catch
too.
up.
Yeah.
But as an adult, I did that with Yakuza. I was like, what do I need to play here? And like I researched it and was like, I'm gonna watch cutscenes for this one. This one looks interesting to me, and I only played those.
Yeah,
and I only played like 3 of them, and I'll watch cutscenes for the rest. But with Dragon's Dogma, I think that might be redeemed for me. Like I'm not totally against the Dragon. If you're coming against me, the Dragon Dogma fans, they announced
the sequel.
The sequel. That's kind of what made me want to play this one. I'll play the sequel. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
the mechanics will be fixed. I think it'll be for a PS5, modern audience. So that's okay. Sometimes you just miss the boat, and
sure.
Just play the newer ones, and don't judge a thing from the first game, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
My last game that I played was I beat Returnal. Beat it.
You beat it.
It's done.
Oh my god.
I picked it up and because the PC one launched, and competitiveness will get the better of you every time. Because I finished the second biome and then died, so I was back at the beginning, and I hadn't played it since probably back in the winter or like back in the fall. But my buddy Sam got it on PC, and he texted me, "Hey, I got Returnal," because he really wanted to play it, but he doesn't do console.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "You liking it? Have you played it?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm on the 3rd biome." And I was like, "All right, look, he's had this game for 2 days, and it is, from what I've researched, easier on PC because with mouse and keyboard and plus aim assist, people are like beating the game without dying. Like people are blowing through it." And I was like, I really liked the vibe of that game. I had, mixed feelings on if it was for me, but I was like, I own this. Let me go back. I don't know what it was. I watched a couple YouTube videos to get back in the swing of like, how do the items work and what's going on. And I just absolutely tore through that game. I beat it in like 3 sessions probably.
Nice.
And I only I went through and I beat the basically when you beat the 3rd biome, there's like a hard checkpoint. And then you go from there through 4, 5, and 6. So you don't have to beat all 6 of them in a row. You got to get halfway.
Yeah.
And then there's a pivotal story thing and things change. And then you start from 4 and you go on up. But I don't know how to describe it. I got into a flow state with that game where it wasn't like about fear of dying. Like I knew if I were to die, because I did, I actually got to the very end and died. But I screamed the F word and I was frustrated, but I knew why I died. And I was literally right back in that position in an hour, and it was a different build and I was even more efficient. Basically, it is a game of efficiency. You really have to understand how to be efficient. And if you know how to be efficient, it's not about like, it's really, the way I would say is if you know how to be efficient, you can beat the game every single time you pick it up. It's not as luck based as I thought it was.
Yeah.
And I think before I was all like, I was too gun shy about picking up certain parasites and stuff. Those parasites, you don't want to pick up every single one you find. Those are the key because they're how you really get exponential things that really help you a lot. And I don't know, I got into a flow state with it and I got really good at it. And I've also got a couple weapons that I was like, I really like this gun. Every time I saw it, I grabbed it. And I got really into it and liked it a lot.
Yeah.
So
I fell out because it was a rogue and that always happens to me, but I'm not against it. I mean, I still own a PS5. So.
Yeah.
If you want to co-op, I'll help you get through it. We could probably do it in a few sessions. It's good. The one thing I will say about that game is the story.
You're in a house.
It is so like
you're in space, but you're in a house.
I don't even know how to explain. Like you beat this game and they show you this like sequence at the end that the way they show it to you is like, check this out.
Yeah.
Like
look
check
what
this
happens
is going
here.
to tie it all together. And none of it makes any sense. It results in none of it making any sense. And I can get into some odd storytelling. Like I loved Immortality. Like if the threads are there to tie together, I'm into it. This game makes no attempt to make it all tie together. But I still respect it because it is trying to tell a story through kind of these ideas, not so much the literal story, but it makes you be like, is this an allegory for this, or is it the other way around? And it just like never really comes together.
Yeah.
So that part was kind of like, womp womp. But Housemarque, who makes this, they're making a new IP, I think. I'll be in for whatever they do next. This gameplay was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think that their model, I almost would compare this to Demon Souls. Like, they have been making arcadey type shooters for a long time, but this was their first big ambitious one on this level. And it's funny because the Demon Souls remake was on PS5 and then this came out. And I was laughing. I was like, these two freaking hardest games on earth are their only games, only exclusives for a little bit. But Demon Souls was like, it's 5 different worlds and you kind of got to go far without dying. And like, it had a cult following. And I feel like this game is similar. I want to know what they would do with this gameplay almost in like an interconnected world or like an open world or like you said, like a more of a story based thing.
Yeah,
like
that's what
I'm curious what they would do. I ended up liking that it was a roguelike because it actually fits the story and I got into a good flow state with it. And now I guess I've beaten 2 of these things, Hades and this. So they're not impossible. You definitely can beat them.
Just gotta keep trying.
You just can't approach it with this thought of I'm finishing this tonight. Like you can't, it's more about learning and enjoying and getting better at the game.
Yeah.
So
Returnal.
Maybe
I'll Returnal to it someday. Nintendo came out with a direct.
They did, didn't they?
They did. And we got to see more of Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom.
I'm the only person that still calls it Tears of the Kingdom.
The Tears of the Kingdom. You didn't watch the trailer, right?
No, but you can talk about it.
Okay. So Zelda has a gun now.
I'm just in a I will play this game day one. I'm in a weird place where I don't feel like hype about it.
And that's kind of how I felt about Breath of the Wild personally. Yeah. I looked at that game and I was like, I'm gonna play it because Zelda, but then when I played, I was like, oh
yeah.
And maybe I think that's probably gonna happen with this game for me again because there's mechanics and stuff we see. Some people compared this to Banjo-Kazooie.
I saw that and I was like, that sounds cool. And I thought of you.
Which I hated. But then I also was like pretentious and going, well, maybe it's cool. Like, it's Zelda now. Oh, well, I think it's going to be cool.
It's like when Apple invented the phone.
That's what it was exactly. Wow, this is really cool. Platform with this. But no, I think they're holding some cards close to their chest still. On some of these mechanics.
They have to be, yeah.
And there's certain things we haven't seen yet, and I think like a month before, 2 months before, they're gonna do a blowout of like this game, and it's gonna be like Mario Odyssey with that hat thing. Like, oh, that's what this game's about. So I think we're gonna see some more of that. I think it does have to do with vehicle stuff, and I actually am like in a better state than Nuts and Bolts was like. It was similar to Beyond Good and Evil. It's like you're not giving me anything, whatever. But Zelda does have like, especially after Breath of the Wild, it's like you're playing with these systems.
Yeah.
We're in the wheelhouse of like, you can do a Nuts and Bolts.
Yeah.
I'm open to that now because that could be really fun with like how you get past challenges. Nuts and Bolts is like, I just wanted to collect crap and do some platforming. And this is, why am I building a plane from scratch? I have a bird in my backpack. I just want to jump around. I have a bird in my backpack. But no, it looks really cool. Still, the debate we've had is like, do we emulate this thing? Do we play this? I do have the collector's edition pre-ordered.
I have the game pre-ordered. I'm not a dirtbag.
I did get that, but it's like, do I play this?
Emulate frick them. Frick Nintendo.
What's the due date on this right now?
May 12th.
I just have a feeling there is no chance this game's coming out in May.
Really?
Dude, they're dropping this in May.
They're dropping so many
I'm so confident
like
I'll put $500 on it.
Is this a new bet? Is this a new DweeBros bet?
I just have a feeling.
$500?
No.
Well, then it's dropping in May.
It's gonna drop within 3 years.
Yeah, okay, deal. Like, duh.
I just have a feeling.
I only do 3 years bets.
I know, yeah. No, I get it. At the end of the day, there's nothing. This game is so on the back of my burner of like my mind.
May is in 2 months.
Yeah, it's coming out, dude.
You said in a couple months before, we're there.
Yeah, I know.
It's
coming out.
They keep at this point they would keep pushing it back. I don't know. I think
They would have pushed it back at the last direct.
I think they would have already said something.
Yeah.
But they keep making posts like May 12th, and they keep reiterating every direct. So I don't know. All that to be said, that looked cool. Whatever. I'll just talk about the big three. So Zelda, they talked about.
Yeah.
Metroid Prime Remastered got kind of shadow dropped.
I love that. That's cool.
It just went on the digital shop. That was really cool.
If I didn't have too much stuff I'm already playing, I would
a lot of people were bummed that it wasn't a collection. However, this was not a port with HD textures.
No.
This is legit. Like, if you look into and now people,
it's pretty much a remake.
Now that we're doing this podcast, people have seen, I hope, by now. The freaking art is changed. They changed the lighting. They changed the models.
It looked good.
It is a legit, like, it's called... These companies can't figure out what a remaster is. It's Metroid Remastered. This is a remake.
Yeah.
Like, it has enough to it and changed lighting and stuff to where it's like, this is a legit, the best way to play this. We use both analog sticks, because in the GameCube version, you're just moving one, and you had to buy
this. I don't have the money.
It is the definitive version.
Emulate it.
No,
but
I'm going to support Metroid.
You can support it, but still emulate it.
I did
I did
pre-order the physical version, which that is already really hard to come by. They didn't make a lot of versions because they just were like, hey, it's on digital right now. But yeah, I'm probably going to play through this game. It's only like a 7.5 hour kind of game. And I've played through it, so I kind of know how to play through it. But I hope that they do this for 2 and 3 as well. I hope they kind of tweak some stuff like they did with this and put out those games as well.
How much is it?
$40.
That's good.
So that was cool. And then the other biggest announcement was Game Boy games and Game Boy Color games.
Yeah, I checked these out.
Game Boy Advance got me excited.
Yeah.
Our friend Kenny went on a tirade. He's like, I want these added to it. We're all on a freaking plan.
So we're all in a big giant family.
And he texted me. He's like, can you get another person? And I was like, I can. And he's like, okay, good. Let's do it. And I'm like, hold on, I don't know if I want this. And he was like, it's only like XX dollars a month. And I was like, whatever, I'm not arguing. I'll get the other person. So I get the other person. I guess the HUD honcho was you, though. He had to have a blowout conversation with you.
I was actually really open because when the N64 was like, hey, you have to pay more to get the N64 games, and those didn't work well at launch, I was like, this sucks. Like, we're not doing that. And like, so I think our friend Devin was like, I really want to do that. Can we upgrade? Yeah. And like, nobody else was like, I do not care. Everybody else didn't care, so he didn't bring it up again. But Kenny was like, I really want to play freaking Minish Cap and all these other GBA games. Will you join on? And I was like, oh, you got to upgrade this year. He's like, how many people are on our plan? I said, there's 6. I'm maxed out. And he's like, you can do 8. And I don't know if that's new.
Oh, really?
Or we didn't have enough people at the time. But he was like, we can have 8. I'm going to find us 8. So sure enough, he very quickly did some recruitment, Metal Gear Solid, some Ground Zero style.
We added people.
He had some people to Mother Base, and we got 8 people now to our family plan. So it ended up being like it's $8 more a year or something. And you had the funniest comment in our group chat because I had to put it together. I was like, hey, it actually did it put into discount like that we've already paid for the standard this year. And I was like, hey, I need everybody's like remaining thing. It's like it's $8 or $6 or whatever. And Travis was like, dang, it's $6. I was gonna get another Starbucks for the year. It was $6 for the whole year. For each person.
I just have to not get Taco Bell one time.
Yeah. So we did upgrade Iwata. You would be proud. We are on the expansion pass. But yeah, there's Game Boy games on there. They announced and showed it's a pretty solid lineup. I don't know where the freaking Pokemon games are at. I don't know why those weren't on at launch, but those aren't.
Those are always going to be in the vault.
Yeah.
I don't get why, because they have the perfect setup. Never mind. I hate going on this. We've been going for a minute now, but there's a whole tirade built into this about Pokemon.
This will be their own expansion pass.
It really will be. And that's the sad part about it.
The one thing during the expansion pass that made me laugh was they were like, games like that we've added for Game Boy Color, Wario Land, and Alone in the Dark. And I was like, I didn't even know Alone in the Dark came to this. And it is the Alone in the Dark game ported to Game Boy Color. And I was like, there. And that was the first thing I played because I was going to see this. And on my 4K television, this Game Boy Color game looks like like I'm watching censored porn. It's just blocks. It's just blocks on the screen. and it is nearly unplayable.
I tried to play Alone in the Dark on my PC like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
It was unplayable on GOG. I can't even imagine the Game Boy Color version.
And it's just sprites melting together. But it was very funny. I played for like 10 minutes, but really like having Minish Cap on there, and they're going to be adding Golden Suns too.
Yeah, they'll add more over time.
And both those games and all that's going to come. So that is cool. But we are on the expansion pass. We are playing all that stuff. So
good job, Nintendo.
Good job, Nintendo. There was one other thing that was interesting.
Yeah, so it was the Xbox, right?
Yes, Xbox came out and announced that they had signed up a plan or signed up an agreement to bring Call of Duty
to Nintendo.
So Microsoft putting their games on Nintendo.
Now, like, this isn't a shocker because, like, if you go back to like the Wii and the Wii U era, Black Ops 2 came out on the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last Call of Duty to hit a Nintendo title. Nintendo had their own dedicated DS Call of Duty games. Like, that was a thing.
I remember those, yeah.
But in terms of mainland Call of Duties, Black Ops 2, Nintendo Wii U, that happened. That was a thing. It was an own dedicated port. But since then, they have stopped making games because the games just became too big.
Yeah.
Call of Duty, Activision, it's known to being this 80, 90 gig mega house of just game. Like, it's just all the graphics and stuff. So Nintendo couldn't handle it.
These are just cloud versions, right?
Yeah. So
which they've done with Kingdom Hearts, and didn't they do that with the Resident Evil games? Didn't some of those come and they're just cloud versions?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not doing that.
So it's gonna be interesting to see how it works because one, the Switch isn't gonna be able to handle. The Switch couldn't run Modern Warfare 2. It couldn't run Black Ops Cold War. I would be shocked, to be honest with you, if it could run Black Ops 3.
Yeah.
Just because of just how the games are.
But now the cloud runs it all.
It could be, it'll be fine.
They're getting Call of Duty Mobile.
Yeah, that's why. But hold on, Call of Duty Mobile is the best Call of Duty out there right now.
Fun.
I still play it, dog. You ever hooked a controller up to that?
No.
Dude, you fry. It's so good.
So I'm wondering, like, is this is it just for Call of Duty, or is this open?
I think it's going to be others. You're going to get other things.
Xbox property stuff, but it's going to be like these cloud versions.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's crazy that Xbox, like Microsoft,
Sony is behind.
Are making Are they gonna?
They're behind.
But Microsoft's probably like, hey, take my hand, but Sony keeps slapping it away.
I saw this crazy quote from Phil Spencer I saw today, and it was something along the lines of, they were like, what happens if this deal doesn't go through with Activision?
Yeah.
And he said basically verbatim, there will still be an Xbox, we think. Like, Xbox will still exist, we think. And I was just like, is this like all chips are in? Like, if this doesn't work out, like,
we're folding.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, because people always debate, does Xbox make money? Because Microsoft makes money, but Xbox is kind of it's a trust fund baby in a lot of ways. Like, it's not Microsoft's bread and butter.
Yeah.
And they definitely, whether or not it's profitable or not, there's all this debate about, is Game Pass sustainable? Is this is that? I don't know. Companies have loss leaders all the time. So is it sustainable? I don't know. But it does make you wonder, like, how much, like, of a cost center, of a loss do they take overall? Because they have deals with all these companies to put these games on Game Pass. I think there has to be some kind of a sound strategy to it.
After the 360, it seemed like I kept reading articles every couple of years that were like,
they might
be shutting down. They might be shutting down. And man, after a while, where there's smoke, there's fire. I think they've had a lot of discussion. There's at least been a chat about it.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think there's ever been a chat of like, let's shut down PlayStation or let's shut down our Nintendo consoles. There's never been, because Microsoft has other way better, PC and servers and stuff. They have other.
They got like chats, AI stuff going on.
Yeah, they have other things. So
now, to be fair, Sony does have television, some other technologies, but it's you don't think that those have conversations about that, but I don't know what's going on.
It's always talked about, but for me, it's just I think for them it's just it's a way to have a presence in homes. It's nothing that's going to ever be like until they fully move on to, I think they want to go cloud based, and until they can get some like major momentum, There's nothing.
But that quote from Spencer is like almost like a subconscious coming up. Like I think there'll be an Xbox. Like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
It made me laugh. I was like,
through.
whoa.
A lot of
I
people.
think there'll be an Xbox.
And again,
Someone said it's scary when somebody answers a question nobody asks. Like
Yeah.
that's scary. But the other thing I would say is I think Sony has been super disingenuous through this whole thing. They have bought tons of companies before.
Mhm.
They've done exclusive deals forever. They freaking stole Final Fantasy from Nintendo at pivotal times. And I'm sorry, I have never thought of Call of Duty as a PlayStation title ever.
no.
Yeah.
Because they said that they were like we've been the home of Call of Duty for 10 years. Jim Ryan or whatever says it's like, no, you weren't. Call of Duty started on PC, and then on 360 it was all about Xbox 360 with Call of Duty 2. Like you guys started getting it more later on, and yeah, it's been made you a lot of money, but it's a third party thing, and like this idea, like they've been telling like some of these governing bodies like that PlayStation will dissolve if they don't have Call of Duty.
Yeah.
That is not true.
Yeah.
Like it is so false.
Yeah.
It's very annoying. So I don't know. Just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
I think that
this deal is crazy though. There's a lot on the line because like I just keep seeing tit for tat and like people kind of fighting because I saw an article that made me laugh and it was The Last of Us, like those first 2 episodes came out and somebody at Microsoft, some of the person that's trying to get this deal through said, hey, and tagged the FCC or whatever and was like, Sony has like they're doing just
They're
fine.
doing just fine.
They have like a giant show and this game, and why can't we join it? You know, why can't we get our thing? So there's some real like just going back and forth on this. So like,
I mean, I don't understand. Like it's.
I think what it is like, them actually, because Microsoft got. Who did they get recently? They've got. I feel like they bought like
they bought Bethesda.
They bought Bethesda and stuff. And I think it's this quick accumulation that's making everybody squinty-eyed. Because if they hadn't done none of that and just got Activision, it'd be like, well, it's a crazy deal, and no one would be like, hey, FCC, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just all this other stuff all at once that's spooking people and making people like squint a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is kind of like, do we want Microsoft owning Call of Duty and this and all of Oblivion and all of like Elder Scrolls? Like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thought is like, what are we doing here? But I mean, they're going to keep trying to get this
might happen. Who knows?
Who knows?
But do you think that PlayStation has real grounds to say
no?
Like they're acting like something's being taken from them.
No, they have no grounds.
I'm sorry.
It's just
really,
an install base.
Really
it's just
sad.
an install base.
I do think, but Microsoft has said, hey, it's going to be on PlayStation, or they're trying to make assurances that it will be. Call of Duty is a massive, ginormous the third-party game, like that everyone gets. Like
so is FIFA, and that's dominated by PlayStation.
That's true.
So like, I see
think
it as
that's
leveling
just
the playing field.
I think that is what's throwing up a little, red flags everywhere. It's like, whoa, that's like a big one. That's like in the realm of like third party. That's gonna maybe just be on one console, but I think they're trying to pass the piece here of like, hey, Nintendo, 10-year deal, and I think that they're trying to ease those worries with those deals, so that they can get this through. Because I think if they weren't doing that, they were going into this deal going, they're gonna get crossed out. But I think these things are paving a way to where this deal could go through.
Yeah,
so
it'll be interesting because I don't trust any of these companies, but the thing I like about Xbox is, and they have stuck to it, is they're not a console company. They're a platform
technology company,
and they're putting their software on everything.
Yes.
It's on PC. It's going to be on. They're putting Game Pass on. They're putting it on. What's that one streaming service? Why am I blanking?
Roku?
GeForce, whatever.
GeForce Experience.
They're putting it on the GeForce Experience. It's on PC. It's on Xbox.
Yes.
It's going to be on Switch. They've been trying to put it on PlayStation.
It's on everything.
Yeah.
They don't. I mean, you can get on your phone. There's a million ways you can do it.
It's on Samsung TVs. You don't even need a box.
Yeah, that's true. So at the end of the day, it's just
let them have it.
Let's see.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't care.
Let them have it.
If there was a compelling reason to not let him have it, I would listen. But Sony's argument falls really hollow to me, extremely hollow.
Yeah. FCC. Actually, you know who should talk about this because all eyes are on this person. that Alec Murdaugh.
Oh my gosh.
On trial for murdering all those people.
Let him have an opinion on this.
He should look straight at the camera and say, "Give Xbox Call of Duty." And that's it. Well, thank you guys for watching another crazy, wacky episode of the DweeBros podcast. If you enjoyed, make sure you make sure you have subscribed to the channel. Hey, we're also on your Apple Podcasts. We're also on your Spotify podcast, whatever it's called. We're on there. Check us out. And more to come, more podcasts to come. We've been doing this for a long time.
For a while now.
2017. So we're going to continue monthly podcast, weekly hangouts on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Playing through games. Beat Resident Evil 4 all the way through. We're going to choose a game soon to play all the way through. We don't know what that is yet. But yeah, come chat, hang out, all that good stuff. Any last words?
Nope.
Thanks for joining us.
As always.
Thanks for joining us. And FCC, if you're watching, let them have it.
Let him have it.
Let them have it.
I know that we just live in a. I'll let it go.
Let him have it.
We live in a world where like
Let 'em have
United
it.
Airlines and American Airlines bought each other. Like
That's true.
like
Let 'em
this,
have
I'm
it.
going to say this last thing, right? The console manufacturers are in competition with each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're not in competition with the publishers. The publishers are down the food chain, right? If Microsoft was buying Nintendo, that would be a monopoly.
Yeah.
If Microsoft was buying Steam, that would be a monopoly because they're at the equal level, right?
Okay.
But if you're buying people that make games, they're down the food chain from you. It's why Disney bought the rights to Star Wars, the rights to Marvel, the rights to Pixar. But that's not a monopoly because nothing's stopping WB and all these other people from going out and buying their own stuff. But that's why when Disney bought Fox, that they're equal playing field.
Yeah.
Sorry, we were wrapping up the podcast. That is confusing to me. Like buying someone down the food chain from you in your industry is different than buying your direct competitor.
Monopolies with Travis, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed it.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see what the arguments come out.
We'll see.
Let him have it.
Let us have federal student loan forgiveness.
And I will let you do whatever you want.
You can do what you want.
And yeah, I don't care who takes Call of Duty.
You guys remember when that was
Ouya.
happening? Never mind. We gotta move on.
And Ouya can have the Call of Duty. I
Ouya.
don't
Bring
care.
back Ouya.
All right, let's look at the camera and say, "Let him have it."
Let him have it.
2,
Oh.
2, 1.
Let him have it.
I was when I looked at the notes, I had a feeling. What did it turn out to be? 2 hours.
Thank you guys.
Yeah,
thank you.
Nope.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay.